Are we live yet? I think we are. What's up, potheads and political junkies? Cannabis Culture News Live is on the air again. It's me, Jeremiah, and Mr. Cookie.
Over here, rolling a doobie.
Nice. Of?
This is Rockstar Kush from Davie Street location, the 1674
Not bad.
spot.
Very nice. 1674 Davie Street, our vapor lounge, dispensary, and head shop.
The
all in
one-stop shop. I just bought shoes there the other day.
There you go.
You bought shoes there?
I did.
Seriously?
It's also a shoe store.
I didn't know we
Weed
sold
and boys
shoes there.
shoes,
That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yep, and Miranda is here in the hot seat.
Hot
Hi,
seat.
Miranda.
I'm actually just updating Instagram that we are doing this right now. So this is a business text, I swear.
There you go.
Yes.
So it's good to see everybody again, back here on another Friday afternoon. The week goes by so quick, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty remarkable. And if you're looking below here, you can see we have some drinks set up on the table. Today is going to be a big show.
Big show, everyone.
Big, huge. We're getting tropical on the show today.
We got the Tahitian treat.
Tahitian treat.
And the Hawaiian punch.
And Hawaiian punch. Now,
Drake,
as we've been talking about, Tahitian treat used to be called, at least I thought it was called Tahiti treat.
It was.
But maybe it's a different brand that makes it. Like maybe this is not.
No, I think it was a thing, and they were
same.
like, you can't call it Tahitian
I
anymore,
think
boys.
actually
Tahiti.
it dawns on me now they may have changed it to Tahitian to match with Hawaiian. Perhaps?
Right.
I think Tahitian came first.
That's not. You might be right about
that's
that.
Siri?
as the word Nazi.
Did
I mean,
Tahitian or
enthusiast.
other
That would
come
be my
first?
guess.
That's very possible. We had a slight fade going back and forth there, but now it's hard.
Ooh,
Look at that.
fading.
Bam. Now it's choppy.
Can we make it like a
Bam,
star
bam, bam.
wipe?
We could. A star wipe? Let's see. Do they have that? Wave. Let's see what wave is. Let's see. Oh, weird.
All right.
Well, let's see. It's just because it's so short. Hold on. Let's see. 2.5. How do you change the length? I don't know. Transition speed.
Yes,
Here we go. We can set it
this
for
is
like.
very good, yeah.
Let's set it for like 80 seconds instead.
We'll have like a crazy
And then we'll go.
wave.
Oh.
Oh,
it's still,
yeah. See, it kind of does that. That's
I
kind of
don't.
cool.
I don't like it.
I like it.
Fade?
It's no star wipe.
There's a fade. The star wipe is like.
Fade's okay.
What's ease out bounce?
Ease out, bounce.
Whoa. That's pretty cool.
I love that. That makes it very, very
It's just
active.
so too fast, you know? We need to change the transition
Slow it
speed to like 800 rather than 80. See how that goes? Like, vroom.
That's a little dizzying. But
It's
I
like
kind of actually like the momentum it adds.
That's pretty fun. It's
Okay.
trippy though.
I'm sharing. What am
If
I
somebody's
doing?
on acid in the crowd, they're gonna like that one. All right, so yeah, we're gonna drink some of this Tahitian treat and Hawaiian punch, and we're doing a blind taste test. I think that's what we're gonna do to see which one is better.
Yep.
And because I've always been a fan of Hawaiian punch, I gotta say, I really do like the Hawaiian punch.
I hate it.
And Tahiti treat, it's been so long since I've had it. To be honest, I can't really remember how it tastes different than Hawaiian punch,
It'll
or if
just
it does.
touch your tongue, and you'll just be like, drink, drink, drink.
We don't have the chat up. That also. So again, we don't have a YouTube chat and live show because YouTube we got banned, like everybody did in this purge of pot YouTube
Band like
accounts.
2 Live Crew.
Banned like 2 Live Crew, and but they gave it back. Somehow we got our YouTube page back, and I don't know what really was the impetus for that or why. Like what they saw. Maybe we got mad at them on Twitter, but I'm not sure if that's enough to make YouTube actually concede or do what they, you know. But they gave it back to us, and then within a week or so, we got another strike, and now we're banned from broadcasting live again for 2 weeks.
Ugh.
So, but we haven't got it
recorded stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I know, it's bizarre. But so we are broadcasting, of course, on Facebook, and I should get myself a Facebook chat going on
The
here.
Facebook, everyone.
Hello,
The
the
Facebook. We're actually working on other platforms at the moment, trying to figure out what would be the best. Like if we want to we're not just going to stick with Facebook. We're going to continue to broadcast on Facebook, but we might need to go other places as well because, yeah, there's an Instagram
Vimeo,
is owned by
things.
Facebook. But there's other platforms out there that just to make a record of it, like Vimeo and all these other things, once the show's recorded, they should be put there. Unfortunately for live broadcasting, there's not a heck of a lot of options out there, but there's some. What about that JW player?
JW's pretty good. That's where everyone seems to be migrating.
Can you do live stuff there? We're doing a technical show.
Live stream.
Yeah. Very technical show today. And here we are on Facebook. There's us. Oh, and Jody, Freddie, and Thomas are watching, it says.
Whoa, all those
Hi, guys. What's happening?
Get my computer up and be in the chat here.
Yeah, get on that chat. Currently 160 eyes on us right at the very moment. Ustream. Thomas says Ustream. Now, Ustream we actually used to broadcast on.
Heavily.
And they banned us twice. And so we moved to live stream after that. Then live stream, I think we just moved off of them because they sucked.
They got shitty. It kept crashing or something.
It was terrible. We did live stream actually for a long time. But before that, we actually used Ustream for a long, long time. The sad thing is, all those episodes that we did on Ustream, gone. That was where my show started. My very first live episodes were done on Ustream, and those were all erased long ago, unfortunately. We just didn't back them up. I don't think... it was a weird process. We actually might have some copies of those shows, you know? Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, some of the Ustream stuff is available. We need an archivist again.
Hello. How's it going? I'm an archivist.
That's right.
Well, I'm not really, but
well, you're kind of trained.
I know
as an
some
archivist.
things. I studied history. I know how to archive things from based on methods taught in 2003.
Well, you're employed. Get on it.
Work it.
So not only are we going to drink pop on the show, but we're also going to listen to my interview with Mr. Kirk Tousaw, the second part.
You Cookies and concentrates.
Yes. If you tuned in last week, you heard the mighty Kirk Tousaw, lawyer extraordinaire, talking about...
it up hard.
Yes. Talking about the new BC regs, in specific, a little bit about the federal regulations as well, but we were really getting into the BC regs because we hadn't had that conversation yet, and it went on for an hour, so we decided to split it up into a couple interviews, and Ray Marshall in the chat says Hawaiian Punch is from the U.S. Is
Tahitian treat?
Well, I was going to say Hawaii is in the U.S., but is Tahiti, though? Isn't...
Tahiti, I believe, is its own independent nation.
Ooh, yeah, I think it's Tahiti. Maybe, I don't know if it's from Tahiti.
Maybe that's why they didn't want to be associated with America. They were like, don't call us Tahiti. Call us Tahitian or something.
Actually from Tahiti. Maybe.
Like the drink like my mama used to make.
Yeah, so that interview, we are going to play the second piece of it. I cut it off right before he started talking about extracts and edibles and all that good stuff. So I figure you guys are going to... Mr. Cookie wanted to hear the whole thing. But it was just, an hour listening. Some people aren't into that. So
I didn't even listen to any of it, so I can't.
It's hard to hear it in the building when we do it this way. But the other thing we're going to play today for you guys is Kirk Tousaw again. But this time you get to see his handsome face. And you get to see the standing committee, the Senate Committee on Social Affairs, Science, and Technology, listening to Kirk talk about the new regulations. And they're going to make some judgments as senators on those regulations and then pass them in some shape, form, or fashion. So nice. Kirk is awesome. He had some great tweets about, he's like, I think the Senate has heard about this once before in the past, or a few times. And, of course, referencing the Senate hearings back in, was it 2002, 2002, where the senators, including Senator
Pierre-Claude
Nolan, Senator Nolan, who is not with us anymore, R.I.P., but he had some great things to say about pot, actually, and they thought that 16-year-olds should be legalized to smoke it, and that it should be everywhere legalized, and that was in 2002. So it's been a long time that the Senate has actually been, some of the senators have been supportive of this.
It's like, what, 16 years ago?
Yeah. It just takes them a while to get around to things.
They're like, oh, remember that?
If any of them are. Well, senators are appointed for life. So, I don't know how many new ones there are.
Put on the list. They're like, yep.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then you have to pass away in order to get kicked out, I guess. Or, wait, what's his name? Wasn't there a senator who did get kicked out? The journalist guy, Mike Duffy, was he not a senator? Yeah, Mike was I think he got kicked out for some shenanigans.
They denounced him.
See, my memory is not. Wow, it's so too many things. Maybe he is still a senator. I don't know. I could be wrong, but don't quote me on anything. So
it's quoted all now.
It's all a blur. Canadian news. So if it's not pot related, it doesn't have much of a spot in the brain anymore.
I think about Mike Duffy every
Yeah, Mike. Don't think about Mike Duffy. Like Our Lady Peace earlier, we talked about them. Not a band you think of every day. Canadian though.
Yeah.
So Mike Duffy is still a senator.
He's still a senator.
He's an independent instead of being with his party.
Right. He's just a
the party kicked
disgraced.
him out.
He's just a disgraced
senator. Right.
Allegedly.
He's still voting.
Allegedly, we
but
have
he's
to
a
say
pretty
alleged.
conservative dude. I don't think he's very friendly to the whole pot thing, as far as I remember. Maybe I'm wrong again. Don't be quoting me on anything.
Don't quote, Chair.
No quoting going on here.
No quoting allowed. So, what should we do first? I guess maybe we should get high first and have a little drink or two. What do you
We
think
could,
of that?
yeah. Should we
Wanna
watch
do
a
that?
short clip?
A short clip of what?
Kirk?
There are no short clips of Kirk. Both the clips of Kirk are 20 minutes or longer. So, yeah.
Well,
they're
we
both
better
about
get
20
high
minutes.
and drink soda.
But what we do
and-
have is some yumminess. I have some Congolese, also from 1674 Davy Street.
Robbing
and-
that place of weed.
And just so, if you're down on Davy, you can stop by 1674 where we have our big dispensary
And
lounge, and you can smoke in there. Head shop, and get some bonks, some shoes, like
Shoes,
Mr. Cookies did.
dabs.
But you can also stop by 920 Davy Street if you happen to be up the street, a little closer to downtown here in Vancouver. If you're down by Granville, stop by 920 Davy Street and visit our Cannabis Culture location there as well. We
Yep.
have another
Davy and
location.
Berardish.
Davy
Yeah,
and
we're
Burrard.
calling
we call
it
it
the Dab.
location. Davy and Burrard. It's the Dab Cannabis Culture.
Guys, there's just joints everywhere.
Joints.
Oh,
And
sunlight.
so, yeah, stop by 920. You could also stop by 3421 East Hastings, where we have our location at Cassiar there.
Cassiar and Hastings.
Or you could stop by 30. Wait, what's the
3175.
3175? Damn.
West
3175 West Broadway. That's our Kits store, which is also amazing. Mr. Marijuana Man, proprietor.
Broadway. Yep.
Or you can stop by this place, 307 West Hastings.
Yeah, come hang
Yeah,
out with
just toke
us
up.
at the lounge. You can be in the background with Miles, dancing away on Pot TV.
Yep.
A lot of places, a lot of cannabis culture action here. Is that craft cannabis, says Ray Marshall in the chat. Absolutely craft cannabis. This is Congo. This is the Congolese. So this is about as crafty as you get.
Crafty craft.
Crafty. It's very nice stuff. So, Mr. Cookie, you are kind of an expert in this field. Can you tell me what the difference between Congolese and red Congolese is? Or is there one?
It depends. Some circles will say that there is a difference because, like, the red Congolese comes from like seedsman's seedsman's seeds genetics.
Okay.
Where this one, well, I think this one.
There is.
One that
There's
kinda
also
came
red
from,
Congo.
like-
There's Congolese and red Congo on the shelf right now. I got both of them.
Okay, then this might be like
Yeah.
the original Congo that was like from a cut from like a friend from Spain or something, and then it got sent over here, and then that would be like a original cut one where the other ones are from like seeds. It was a green Congo from Seedsman's Genetics or Seedsman's Seeds. And
So somebody had to have brought over from.
yeah, from Europe or whatever, got it here in the mail or just brought it over. Because before 9/11, you could pretty much travel with plants and cuts and stuff like that a lot easier. They weren't really like searching.
Right.
And I'm sure now it goes on to this day.
So, and do you have a preference of Congo or red Congolese?
I like the original one because it has more of like a Thai essence in the background or
That's the
something.
Congo?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one. Where the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
one I find had like kind of like a sweet or something in there where they might have hit it with like I don't know, like sweet tooth or some sort of bulkier thing like that to get more yield and try to stretch out the
Right, because it's
shorten the flowering time.
yeah, it's a heavy, or it's a sativa land race, isn't it?
Yep.
You're a sativa
Yep.
Landry.
It's land race sativas. So, Cookie, explain what that means. Land race. It just means that as far as we can go back, we find it growing naturally or something.
Pretty much, yeah, like undisturbed genetics, more like was picked from the ground and it was kind of remained that way to this day, like Colombian gold and like those main genetics that we kind of go with.
Can I use your grinder? Yeah.
Grind it up.
Grind it up.
Oh, is that your 420 alarm?
We should. It is 4:20. It's a minute late.
Well, it's 420. Oh, it's 422 now.
Happy 422, everybody.
Happy 422.
Dun, dun, dun.
Went off like 2 minutes late.
That's really funny.
It's stoner time, right? That totally
Yeah,
works.
Stoner 420 is always 2 minutes
422.
late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thomas says he dies to get the Lindsay OG. People love the Lindsay.
They do.
Everybody asks, a lot of people ask for Lindsay, but I got to tell you, because when I was managing the 1674 Davie location, I was in the dispensary a lot there, monitoring, doing the buying and everything.
Back in the day,
the Lindsay OG, for some reason, wasn't a popular shelf item.
Yeah, I remember we switched the name on it.
Yeah, we did. We changed the name. We actually did.
What
because
did you change it to?
Fire
we called
OG
it the
or
Fire
something?
OG. Yeah.
You guys,
We
I have so
we
much
made that
Fire
up.
OG, and I've been selling it as that. And if it's Lindsay
No,
OG.
the Fire OG is like, after we realized what it was kind of like a joke, like, well, it's fire, so what should we
just-
call it? And I was
exactly.
like, oh, Fire OG, because it was OG.
Oh.
But we always,
But
if
then
somebody
there was
asked for
Fire
it, I would
OG.
tell them it's the Lindsay, actually,
But-
because, just to be honest about it. But we put, at the time, I didn't know there was a Fire OG other than. what
Yeah, I
we
didn't
made up.
really know
Okay,
either.
that's
Yeah.
where I'm confused.
So
And
yeah,
then there
because
was.
apparently there is one, so we didn't know, but whatever. Sometimes it's okay, just the names. People make them up along the line, so
you see
everybody
that a
made up
lot.
the names
That's
at
true.
some point. So
And I mean, most people try to at least take the care to name them something along their like descendant lines, but sometimes the names that we get in just don't make any fucking sense to me at all. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know
Like
who.
I'm sorry, what is Blue Bart? I'm sure there's a blue something in there, but what is that? Somebody here knows, but I don't know. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Cookie,
guys.
maybe, I don't know.
No, that's a new one to me.
Right?
go.
Sounds like, and when it's something I don't really know, I'm always like, maybe one of those Cali strains that I don't know about.
Do you know the origins of the blueberry strain, Cookie?
No, just DJ Short brought it from somewhere or bred it somehow and got that genetic.
It's
And
so
then-
sweet and so amazing. It's so different than, like, obviously cannabis is different in each area, but the blueberry itself is so distinctive, and like the Calio is or something.
Yeah.
It's just so
Well, that
much.
one really like changed the game in Europe too. I guess he brought it to Europe back in the day, and pretty much everyone got a hold of it. So now it's in like every coffee shop you go to has like blueberry.
Yeah, and there's
it's-
so many
and
offshoots.
It's legitimately
of the blueberry.
that blueberry, like that small nugged, flavory.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
Really fruity. It doesn't necessarily taste like blueberries, but it has its own very distinctive.
Sweetness.
Yeah, it
sweetness
definitely
to it.
smells.
Yeah,
really,
and it is
really
fruity.
strongly and sweet.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't.
It's
well, I don't know.
candy-like.
Yeah.
And it, one of the like the Mataro blue and the Stella blue, which are both offshoots of the blueberry,
Cannabis
are
seeds.
so like heavy on the sweetness. They're just insanely sweet.
Right? So,
Yeah.
okay, Blue Bart must be blueberry something, but I don't know what the Bart means at all.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Cookie,
hard
did
to
you
say.
take my lighter?
Oh, I did.
Hey,
Damn.
Douglas from the medicinal S&M Medicinal Sweet Shop
Ooh,
is
that
in the
sounds
chat.
good.
Cool.
They want you to get a hold of him.
They do.
Send us some candies.
Hi, Douglas. Yeah, exactly. Where is that located?
I keep looking up here for the chat.
Citrus Skunk does rock, Douglas. I'm huge on the Calio. That's like my favorite strain of all time.
I dislike it.
You
just
don't like
because,
it?
No, just one of those ones.
What about
Shishka berry, I
you
don't
don't like the Tangie?
No.
Because it's Tangie and Calio are nearly
Like it
they're
took
really
me a while
close.
to actually try, and I tried it like from Don and Aaron when I was in Europe one time, and he was like, "What do you want to try?" So I want to try the Tangie. I never got to try it. And I
Oh,
rolled
man.
up a nice joint of it and smoked it. And it's like enjoyable. It's super
flavor,
flavorful.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just not the flavor for me.
Interesting.
just
Everybody's
like-
got
Fair.
their own taste.
I
you know?
find Tangie's pretty divisive. You either really, really like it or you really, really don't like it at all.
But it is a nice
Yeah.
strain. Like gets
Oh,
me
it's
super
delicious.
ripped and
I love
everything,
it.
but
I'm
that
on the pro
orange. I
side.
was like, I don't really eat oranges either. Drink orange juice. So I
Oh
was like,
man, I am addicted to oranges. I love oranges.
I'm more about,
it's
like,
my favorite
the
flavor
fruit
on the
punch.
planet Earth. Yeah. No, or there's nothing I like better than the orange flavor. I like actually get those little Body Shop oils, the Satsuma oil for
Oh,
your
yeah,
house.
that's-
Damn,
yeah.
that shit smells good.
that is orange.
Yeah. 706 Gibson's Way, Sunshine Coast. There you go. And it was Tommy Chong's 80th birthday yesterday, according to Thomas. In the
Yep.
chat.
Sure was.
Happy birthday, Tommy.
Tommy, 80.
We love you.
Still
Big time.
token.
Yep. That's what the new movie should be.
Yep.
Yeah. They should do like it's too
Still
bad they
tilting.
can't do a modern Cheech and Chong. Like Tommy should write a new script and actually like have a seniors Cheech and Chong movie where they like get high at the old
Him and
folks' home.
Cheech, they're like, yeah, we're here.
I would really
No.
like that.
Shelby's like,
I don't just you don't that would there's got to be a way to make it hilarious.
I think so.
Yeah. get as many older age, like some of the actors from that era are absolutely hilarious, and they're all getting a little in their years now. It'd be funny to incorporate.
They're actually all getting to that perfect age where they will talk shit about like their old coworkers and stuff that happened on movie sets, and they don't give a
care.
fuck.
They're just like, whatever.
Yeah, I've heard some like incredible interviews with people like Mel Brooks who just go off and tell the truth about shit because they're old. They made all their money. They don't fucking care.
Yep.
Like, what are you gonna do? Take it away?
Right?
Nah.
Jack Nicholson. I mean, he rocked the gunge. I'm sure he's doing
Tracy
that right
Jordan.
now.
Exactly. Tracy Jordan. Tracy Morgan's hilarious. I love that guy.
Yeah. So funny.
30 Rock.
Yeah.
Oh my
that's why.
god.
That show.
So hilarious. And Alec Baldwin on that is just, man, he's the best.
It's a pretty good crew of
I'm
writers they
digging
have
for a
there.
lighter.
Anybody got one?
I got a lighter.
Miranda's
Cookie
lighter.
Big
200
Bear.
edibles
I keep
on
just
Douglas's
saying.
menu there. And Miles is now tuning in.
Miles.
There he is.
Yeah.
We can see him out the window. He's right there. Look,
He's
there you can see him tuning
literally
in.
and watching the show.
Yeah. Will he look up once he sees that we're watching him?
Lawrence is
Or
suggesting
that's his Brazier
blueberry
account or
crossed with
something.
hash bar OG. Huh?
Say what's that?
Sorry, I'm just reading. Everybody's talking about strains in here, and there's blueberry crossed with hash bar OG.
Oh.
Blueberry was a 70s strain. Purple tie crossed with Afghan. I don't know. I'm getting all sorts
Cool.
of education here in the chat right
I can't verify or not verify that.
now. Get on it, weed historian.
Yep.
You're like,
Fire
oh.
inspector.
Gotta find these old genetics and bring them back.
He's not the fire historian.
Yeah. I don't go look at burnt buildings. I just go burn one down near buildings.
So we do have one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was on it.
And Cannabis Culture's in the chat now.
That's me. I told you I was popping into the chat.
Good.
We were alerted.
So there's a couple other things I wanted to talk
other-
about. I wanted to talk about an amazing article that is in the Georgia Straight. I
Georgia
believe it was the
Strait.
Georgia Straight, wasn't it?
Always doing good things with
Let
their
me-
weed
let
stuff.
me see if I can get this up on
Straight
screen
cannabis.
here.
In case you don't know.
Yeah, Georgia Straight is now doing a cool straight cannabis section. And Miranda is a former employee of Georgia Straight.
I am, yeah.
Former editor at the Georgia Straight.
Yeah, actually, we should say goodbye to Amanda Siebert. Today was her last day at the Georgia
last day
Straight.
of the Straight?
Whoa.
Last day.
Oh,
No, why?
who's taking her place? What's going on? What's
I'm
she
not
doing?
too sure. I didn't check on that news, but I read her little goodbye blog post that she put up. Yeah, she's got so much stuff on the go. She's got a book that's coming out soon and a bunch of personal
Amanda
projects
Siebert
that
story.
she wants to pursue. So that's what she's doing. So it's like she's done 3 years of the Straight. She's done a great job.
She's
Gave her a
fantastic.
great platform. So yeah, I'm really excited to
Well, I hope she
for
still
what she's doing next.
writes her amazing pod articles because there's some really great ones. So, and
I did tell her if she wanted to freelance to come talk to us. So
Oh, good.
I hope that was okay.
Yes, of course, of course. Yeah, no, she's fantastic.
Running out of time.
I'd hire her any day. So I just wanted to bring up this Georgia Straight Dana Larson article.
Dealers.
Mr. Dana Larson, who talks
Pretty good. Pretty good cannabis here. Burns clean. Has a good flavor.
Oh yes,
Could be a little smoother on the ash, but that's.
smooth ash.
yeah.
I like it like
I like
velvet.
some smooth
Yeah,
ash.
that one is a little rough, but that's fine. It's nice, colorful.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Phrasing.
Oh yeah, this is his open letter, right?
It is. It's his response
very
to another
excited to
open
read
letter.
this.
So let's see if I can click onto it there and get this out of the way. This is Dana Larson, an open letter to Paul Theron of the Q Hall of Fame on Cannabis and Pride.
Q Hall.
So we did talk about what sort of started this on this show before. I think some of it started because I'm not if it was me. I think maybe my comments might have stirred the pot a bit.
Yes,
It was
It
me.
was your.
It was me
comments.
down
It
at
was you at Sunset Beach.
at Sunset Beach. I was talking with a reporter for CTV down at Sunset Beach, and she was like giving us a hard time a bit and being playing devil's advocate and being pretty tough on us. I don't think she's much of a supporter of our movement. Maybe, I don't know, but she was definitely
closet supporter, if any.
right. If so, yeah, she didn't seem too friendly at the time about it, but she was really kind of drilling me about, well, why are you guys here? What are you guys doing? What is the purpose of this kind of stuff? And I told her that people are being criminalized for cannabis, and it's wrong in big, huge numbers, and the drug war is a civil rights issue, and we are being civilly disobedient. That's what we do in with using the same model that other activists from the past have used, activists who fought for gay rights or who fought against segregation and those kinds of things. So I said that, and she got upset. She's like, you can't say it's the same as segregation. And I said I didn't say it's the same as segregation. I said we're using the tactics that those activists used, like Rosa Parks standing up for herself and not wanting to sit at the back of the bus. We have to actually fight bad laws, and you break bad laws. You break them until they change. Yep. So it's not saying that we're the same as the gay rights movement or the people who are fighting against things like segregation, but it's that we're using their tactics. And so then
she took that the wrong way.
She took it the wrong way. She didn't like it. She secretly, like, I guess was, I had my mic on, but we were not on record anymore. They didn't have their camera turned on me anymore. But we were just talking and chatting afterwards. But she gave that recording without telling me or even asking me about it to Drex over at a radio station. Drex, who has the radio show on CKNW. I think that's this radio station, isn't it? Is that right, Anil? He's on CKNW, yes? Oh,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is, but
you're not missing
man,
much.
why am I? Yeah, that's where Neil listens to him all the time. I'm guaranteed it's that. If I'm wrong, maybe somebody look that up just in case. I just want to be, don't want to be giving wrong information. But Drex,
we're not about misinformation here.
Yeah, and so Drex made a big deal of it. He's like, Jeremiah Vandermeer says this and that, and I guess Drex is gay. He's like, I'm a gay man. I take offense to trying to say it's like the gay rights movement. And Dana also has said comments that are similar, and he sort of was disputing those, and we all had a great chance to talk to Drex on his show about that. Nice. And then we got somebody wrote a letter. This guy from the Q Hall of Fame, Paul Theron, wrote a letter to the Georgia Straight, or was it the Georgia Straight? Maybe it was the Daily Buzz. Again, I guess if the response is in the Georgia Straight, the Georgia Straight definitely reported on his letter about it, and this is Dana's response to his letter. So it's quite well done and lays out a whole bunch of really interesting stuff about that was Kirk. Here is the one. This is the letter. And if you have the chance, go and take a read, because I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you guys right now, but there's a lot of really great information. Again, the headline is Dana Larson, an open letter to Paul Theron of the Q Hall of Fame on Cannabis and Pride.
Quite the title.
Dana just points out the long history of the cannabis activism movement and how it's completely intertwined with the people who were fighting for gay rights and down in California. And it really was started by that movement and people like Dennis Perrone, who is on the screen right now. So yeah, these guys were using cannabis as a medicine, and they became activists for cannabis, not just for gay rights. So check it out, good stuff. And I see Ray Marshall says, Jer, I'm still bummed out with your comments on LPs and you not caring if ex-cops, politicians are running them. You were in favor of selling their weed when the time came, along with commenting that all LPs are not bad. Do you still feel strong about those statements? Yeah, I think that I do. I think I stand by those statements, and I think maybe you're taking me a little bit out of context, but ultimately, I think my statement on not caring if politicians are running, or cops and politicians are running them, I didn't really say I don't care, or maybe I did say it, but that's not really what I mean. I mean, I don't like the fact that the people who were criminalizing cannabis are now going into positions to try to profit from it. These exact people were the ones making our lives hell and tormenting us for all these years, and now they're going to be the ones profiting from it. No, that definitely sucks, and I'm not a big fan of that in any way. Yeah. But overall, I think the position that we're going into, where I still think everybody should be allowed. I'm fighting for the right for everybody to sell cannabis, including those people that were tormenting us. Because otherwise you're building some sort of monopoly. There's no rule we can put that says anybody who is doing this isn't allowed to be part of it. I want everybody to be able to be part of it. So my principle that I think it should be free for everybody to just grow and sell is stronger than my hate and distaste for the people that were, against us for so long. So it's more of a matter for me of just standing by my deeper principles and not letting my emotional side get in. I think it's wrong that they did that, and I think they should have to apologize for it. And maybe there should even be, charges for people that knowingly hurt other people, politicians that knowingly send people to prison for not hurting anyone and knowing that these are bad. I don't know how you do that. When it comes to politics, it's hard.
But if Also, if we are not supporting the LPs' entry into this, we're basically as bad as the LPs, right? Because the LPs right now are the sole arbiter of marijuana, or will be in BC.
Right.
So
Be,
they have the market. If we say we don't want you in the market, then it doesn't really work, right? We can't be exclusionary. There's plenty of room for everybody.
The key is that we need to, it's not that we shouldn't be against LPs at all. We should want to be the LPs. We should want the regulations to be including people like us. We need to become LPs. That just means licensed producer. Yeah, of course, we should all have licenses to produce. Everybody needs to be able to be an LP. All Canadians should be allowed to apply to be an LP, and you shouldn't have to have millions of dollars to do it.
Yeah, and we still want to have control of like that LP market, so we know that they're not poisoning people by using this shit that they shouldn't be using because they're uneducated.
Yeah, and I'm not supportive of the companies that were calling for people's arrests or that are,
obviously.
Right, like, there's a lot of companies out there and there's a lot of people in this industry that I'm not too huge of a fan of. But I think, as Cannabis Culture, as a business and stuff, I think we have to really start looking at the LPs and separating the good from the bad and saying who are the ones that have good cannabis, who are the ones that are like actually trying to help us instead of hurt us, and start making alliances with those companies, because that's going to be everything.
So far, none. Probably the best things to build one from the ground up, call it good weed, and go.
That's I think maybe the goal is that we need to step in and really make sure that we do it the right way ourselves. Like I want to become an LP so we can go in and do it the right way. But again, they're not making it very easy. They are, though, opening it up. And as part of my discussions with Kirk, we talked about how the licensing process is being opened up to everybody. So there's going to be a lot more LPs, and so that means a lot more room. Hello, BC Bug Gal. A lot more room for people to actually be good companies, because it's not the regulations that necessarily make people bad companies themselves. You still can be a good company, although they make it hard.
They do.
They want to have, there's a bunch of crap about the regulations that make it difficult, but there's still some that are out there doing, pesticide weed, Thomas says. Yeah. We need to test the stuff. We need to make sure it's done right.
Heavily tested,
not putting a bunch of nasty shit in it, and not blasting it with gamma radiation and these other things. So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate your comments, Ray, and I totally see the angle you're coming from. Like, I know it's hard to, like, grin and bear it while we sort of have to line up with the people who are making our lives hell. But I think ultimately we need to fight for everyone, even if we disagree. It's like fighting for the freedom of speech, even for the people you disagree with. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I really do feel that not all LPs are bad. I don't necessarily have the proof that every single LP out there is doing something bad. Like, I don't know, right? And when the last time I saw Broken Coast stuff, the actual weed from a Broken Coast jar, it was really good. Like, I was actually impressed with it. I smoked it. It looked good. It seemed fine. Didn't make my... Like, the old stuff I had from Broken Coast was not good. It was really bad. It burned your lips were numb. It was burning black. It didn't look good. But that last stuff, man, I was pretty impressed with. So if they can grow weed like that, and it doesn't have pesticides and nasty shit in it.
I wasn't impressed with it.
You weren't impressed, but you're very hard to please, though.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, but you wouldn't be impressed by half of the stuff that's on the shelf of Cannabis Culture either.
Sometimes I am, but that's true.
Yeah.
It's the difficulties of being a weed connoisseur.
Yeah.
Cookie has very particular tastes, but
they're just like,
I'm like,
don't show that to him.
Yeah.
I found bugs in weed the other night, and then I found moldy weed.
Oh no! Uh-oh, that's not good. Yeah, see, things like bugs and mold in weed is not good. You don't want.
Most people
stuff.
don't even know. They don't pull a microscope out and look at their marijuana. Like,
right.
No one does.
And you need good quality control. And really, ultimately, we need to be testing all the marijuana. And that's, as Cannabis Culture as a company, that's where we're headed. Like, if the companies that we get it from aren't testing it, then we need to be testing it ourselves, and we're trying to
just
implement.
Making sure,
what's
going on.
It's not going to happen overnight because it's expensive, and we need to figure out ways of doing that properly. But yeah.
Get a punch card with the lab. Be like, every 10th one's free, right?
Yeah. And Freddie doesn't like the Broken Coast guys, and that's true. He says sellouts. I think that they knowingly spray cannabis and irradiate and sell for a high price. So I didn't know that they irradiate their stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And
that's why it always tastes.
So wait,
I didn't know
irradiation is bad?
Yeah, radiation
It's
is bad.
to irradiate things.
Yeah, it's like microwaves, you know.
But I
And-
put things in the microwave all the time. Does that mean is
We
that
used
bad?
to roast turkey in the
Is it
microwave.
leaking into my brain?
Broken Coast sold out to Aurora. Is that right? I think Aurora bought them. Or am I
don't
wrong?
know.
Maybe it was not Aurora. Maybe it was another one.
No, Aurora's buying a whole bunch. Maybe it wasn't Broken Coast. They bought the lower end of Tweed or something out here.
They bought two things recently. They just bought
Something massive.
Med Relief.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. For 3.2 billion or 2.3 billion or somewhere along there.
That's a lot of billions.
A lot of billions.
They probably made that selling marijuana.
Yeah, and really, I mean, ultimately, what we need to do is change these regulations so that they don't demand things like gamma radiation.
Gamma.
But I don't think the regulations actually demand that. They just demand low microbe levels. But they need micro producers, a whole bunch of them everywhere, able to grow. And as long as you test it, and as long as it doesn't have bad things in it, it should be able to pass. And I think that the licensing federally is starting to look that way. That it's going to be about the testing rather than like the security or all these other things that cost millions of dollars to get involved.
Yeah, I'd like to have all the weed tested, and then we'd know what we're smoking, and be like, "Oh, you want this? Yeah, or no."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
food and stuff should all be tested. I'm sure it is, but fruits and vegetables, yeah, stuff gets by, but
Yeah. The last stuff though, Freddie's saying it evaporates the resin heads and when you do the gamma radiation, so that's good. It's obviously bad, and like Freddie knows that, and he's been on the show talking about that before. Afria bought Broken Coast for $230 million, says John Murray. Yeah, sorry, but I gotta say the last Broken Coast stuff I had did smell really good, and it looked good, smelled good, and it tasted good. That was the first LP weed I've ever had that was actually good. But
that's good.
Yeah, ever. Like never. And I've had Broken Coast before and it was not good. But that was the one time. So I know that, there's the chance of having good weed out there because I smoked it and it was decent. But why is it that they choose to, do all these nasty things to it? They don't have to. I don't think they have to.
Might have mildews or molds or something they're just trying to get rid of, or on a precautionary method.
Right. Well, I guess a lot of this is they're trying to protect their business. So
Well, and it's kind of like, after they sell it and it's going to sit somewhere else, I think, then they kind of treat it a little different too because they don't want, they don't know what's going on.
And that's the thing about bad regulations is that they force them to have zero microbe levels, which is kind of like a hard thing. Like when you go to the produce department in a grocery store, they don't have those kind of rigorous, ridiculous regulations, and look at, the stuff they put pesticides on fruit, obviously, but you can go to the fruit store and get a lot of dirty fruit and you wash it, or all of this stuff
Sneak
grows.
a couple grapes in the grocery store, no one's watching,
Right,
I'm
exactly.
Even boxed goods like cereal has a minimum allowable like rat hairs you're allowed to have.
Rat hairs.
Seriously, if you
Yeah.
look at like FDA guidelines, there's a certain amount of
Yeah, it's true. Canned food and stuff. 2%
foreign matter
waste.
that you're allowed to have in food.
Yeah, Freddie's right, though. Health Canada requires such low bacteria levels that they basically feel like they have to do this.
Yeah.
Because they'll have recalls on their cannabis if it has these microbes in it, right? So those regulations have to change.
So it has to be more like testing and experimental things on if there's any issues with the low levels like that.
Right, exactly. And certain microbes are not going to hurt you. Others will. Like there's going to be ones that obviously you don't want on there. But there's a lot of microbes on pot that are not going to hurt you.
Yeah, I'm not a microbe specialist, but I believe there's probably different types, and that's right, harmful and non-harmful, and maybe
Right.
even beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, and stomach.
Like mycorrhiza, that's beneficial.
Yeah.
It's fungus.
Yeah, and that's it. Freddie's saying, let's see you buy your ounces from Broken Coast, Jared. Wait till you see the price. I haven't ever purchased anything
Like
from
800, or no, it's come out to be like $400 or something.
For an ounce?
Probably. Wow.
No
Seriously?
way.
I think it's like
How do they
$12 a
compete,
gram
man?
or 11 or
Can't
depending.
compete with the black
Freddie will
market
know.
like that. There's
What's
no
it
way
go
to,
for, Freddie?
Hey, pass
how do
my
you compete
lighter
with the
back,
black
Cookie.
market like that? You just can't. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on there.
You gotta
And
ship it out, bro. in a
what I
fucking
really
fancy
think,
jar.
I swear, even though rec is kind of starting to go in the right direction, at least a little bit, with some of the changes to the federal regulations and things to opening it up to more people, I still think the provincial regulations are way, way too restrictive, and they make government monopolies all the way along. The government's going to be the middleman on every single thing. I still
they
think.
just got their hand right out.
But what makes it worse is that right now the medical side of it is going to be the one where the people are actually allowed, like where the government won't necessarily be directly involved in the process. So LPs are still going to be able to, be doing LP stuff, sending weed directly to people. It won't be government involved. But the government isn't going to be they're not going to like that much because they want to be the monopolists. They want to be involved in everything.
Losing out.
They're going to try to take away the rights of the medical producers. And you watch, medical marijuana in Canada is under threat in a huge way. And I think that now the real threat is going to be against the medical community in a lot of ways. They're going to try to get rid of your home growing because they're going to say, oh, well, you can grow 4 plants recreationally. Why do you need to grow 99 for your medicine?
You're like, oh, because you're an idiot.
Right. Or maybe they'll try to get rid of, they might actually try to get rid of the injunction completely, the Allard injunction, which is allowing people to grow at home when they put these new rules
Whatever's
in.
going to happen with the new one, the ACMPR, because if they try to end it, there's going to be another injunction on that, and it'll be like the fucking Jean-Claude fucking injunction, for that, and they're going to try to get rid of it.
Yeah.
The Section 56 injunction, I don't know, those people are like the original like MMAR holders. I don't know what happened with their thing from 12 years ago or whenever that was.
Broken Coast
20
sells
years ago, I guess.
for $9 to $10 a gram. Well, that's not that bad.
So that's $2.80 an ounce plus shipping.
Right. I mean, it's still obviously the prices need to come down, but I gotta say,
That's a little bit more
I'm telling you
competitive
guys,
than I thought it
as
was.
a business though, it's we sell weed for $9 and $9 to $10 at Cannabis Culture as well. We have weed also for $5 a gram at Cannabis Culture, but we also sell there's like $12 or $13 grams as well.
Yeah,
all the
I've
way
seen
up.
that,
It's from
13.
front to back. We have $5 grams, but they're good. Like we don't sell shitty pot.
That's right.
But that's just the way it is. Like street prices are $10 a gram and have been since I was a kid.
2 for 25, bro. No.
Yeah, but and it's still an artificially inflated market because of that. The growers are in charge of that. The growers charge a certain amount, and in order to run a business, you have to make enough to pay the rent and all that. So,
Yep.
yeah, which we barely do. In Vancouver, see, when we had Toronto stores, it was easier to actually make. We didn't own those stores; our franchise holders did. But if we, owned more Toronto stores, you could make more money. Here in Vancouver, it's nearly impossible because it's just totally oversaturated. There's a lot of dispensaries here.
Yeah,
and a big
lineup.
black market.
There's no lineup at a dispensary, really.
No.
Maybe if they have like a special sale or something on a certain day, there might be a lineup. But other than that, you're not waiting in line at a dispensary like in Toronto.
Yeah.
Christmas, you'll be lining up.
Christmas, they'll be lining up like Santa with their sack.
And apparently, John says they sell trim for $4 a gram. They call sativa tips or indica tips.
And I heard they were selling hash or something like that too, calling it.
That was Broken Coast?
One of them trim or something. They were calling it like a weird thing, like it was like the leaf tip trims or something, but it was like literally like keef from like the keef box. It fell off, I guess, or whatever.
Kirk mentioned in our interview that somebody was selling keef. And
Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk said in the interview and said that they were just saying, "Oh, it's just the trimmings. It's basically they just trimmed off the whole entire plant."
Yeah.
Oh my God, seriously.
Yeah, and because
guess-
it's legal to extract it.
Because if
right?
you're just trimming like over something, you collect what's underneath. Well, they can't be like, oh, they extracted that. Well, no, it fucking fell in the
trimming.
thing, and
Yeah.
it's right here. Now we're gonna sell it to someone. It's trim.
I think that's fair enough. And see, I think that's what we need to do is we need to go in there, take it over, get it licenses LPs, and then fight these ridiculous rules. Or all at the same time, right?
Hey, why are you making us do this? Let's sell this hash. Like they're making them throw like their hash away or something. That
I
can
want
be
to see
used
the
for medicine.
activists. Yeah, exactly. I want to see activist LP companies.
I think
I
they just pay them off because I've seen other activists from like back in the day, no names mentioned,
Right.
And now they work in LPs and they don't really talk about activism stuff anymore. But they were like hardcore
Right.
activists at one time.
I'll mention a couple of those names. I don't mind because I mention them on the show all the time. But one of them is Philippe Lucas.
Philippe Lucas
Yeah.
is one of them. He started.
Who's
the
a friend of
Vix.
mine, started Vix, was a hardcore activist. Even did he not serve time or he was in trouble? He was had a court case. They were threatening him with going to prison. prison.
Yeah.
And he fought a court case, and I believe he won that.
They won that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like the Barron decision came from that
Right,
stuff. And
exactly. And
all
so,
that.
but Philippe, we've had him on the show, and we confronted him about not being, not really coming out for the activist community once he was working for Tilray. These guys are in a tough position. You take this job, you don't want to get in trouble.
It's like David Bratz or whatever, the police officer in Victoria. It's kind of the same thing. He's like right there, all like, this is all stupid, but I'm sure he's not sitting around the like lunch table with the cops being like, yeah, this is fucking stupid, because they're just like, oh, you're
Right.
whatever, Same
Right.
as Philippe at the LP place, because I'm sure he's not the guy with the big bucks that started this thing. So
Oh, no,
the
he
investigator
works.
hears something shitty, he's just like, yeah, let's get rid of this guy.
Phil, that's Privateer Holdings owns Tilray.
Yeah, I don't know owns private holdings either.
Yeah. Well, actually, now that
Must be some guy
here's
at the
something
top,
interesting. The guys that own Privateer have come out recently and demanded cannabis amnesty for all the people who were arrested. Because
they're growing shitty weed and they want to hire these people.
Yeah.
So if they don't have a record, then
All
they're
our
like,
growers are
to
in
be honest,
jail, guys. Let
That's
them
great.
out.
I applaud those guys.
That's great,
I
yeah.
applaud
We
them
need
for
that.
coming out and saying that. That's what we need. We need more people, and they should tell Philippe Lucas to say the same thing.
Yeah.
They should
Philippe,
come
you
out.
know.
And you know what? Maybe Philippe has changed his tune. When we talked to him about this on Pod TV, that was a couple years ago now.
I seen him
So-
at Lyft or something not too
Yeah.
long ago. He was not saying anything so bad or anything. He was just
No,
saying-
Philippe's always been supportive, but obviously you have to be a little bit more muted when you work for a company, and you have to think about their bottom line and everything
True.
else.
Like even when I worked for a call center, we couldn't say like it was a shitty call center because they'd be like, oh, and like all their rules sucked, and yeah.
And see, for these guys, it's
sucked.
different. For Cannabis Culture, we don't have public shareholders who tell us what to do or anything.
So does
You
that
know?
mean I can just say whatever the hell
Pretty
I want?
much like unfiltered.
That's right. Exactly. So
Yeah.
nobody's breathing down our necks telling us what to do. So, and that's not going to change. We're not going to be selling. We're not going to be going public. We're not going to be doing this kind of stuff that will threaten our ability to use our company for politics, for a political purpose. Like that's what we're doing. This is why we have this. We're an activist company. So that doesn't mean we can't, tell you who we like
Or dislike.
we
That
can
goes back to that freedom of speech.
Right, exactly. So, yeah. Yeah. I said, if you guys should tune in on the chat, I'm just reading the chat here. Freddie Pritchard is on top of these issues, always really a great guy about this stuff. He's probably the hardest guy on the LPs out there because he's got the evidence in hand showing why you should be hard
He's
on them.
like this.
Yeah,
Not
the real deal stuff. So, and that's the evidence that he has shows just how far we have to go with the changes we have to make. Like where are the good LPs? I want to see some good LP weed that's not gamma radiated.
Wah, 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 wah.
Wah, wah. Let's try some drink.
Oh, yeah,
let's
try
do
some
this.
drink.
So
How are we gonna do this?
Okay, what I'm
somebody
gonna
has
do.
to be responsible for it.
Obviously, it's
Obviously,
gonna be
we
me
were Miranda.
responsible
Not us.
for it.
Yes.
We're
This
just
was not
here.
under question. This is why I'm here, guys.
Okay. So you do it.
So you take one and one. This one's colder.
Yeah.
And then
the same.
well, you have to blind
Okay,
taste
these
test it.
two cans are approximately the same temperature. No, I got you some like mugs.
But how are we gonna know?
So
How
yeah,
are
you
gonna
have
do
to.
this? You gotta
One
give us-
mug has to be you have to know which one's in
And
which mug.
you want to do both of them at the same time?
Yeah, well, we want to do a blind taste test. So
Like
I don't know
now?
I don't want to know which one I'm trying
I
while
don't
I'm
wanna
trying
know
it.
either.
So you put them both in mugs, and you just pay attention to which mug is which while we taste it, and then you tell us
Well, I
afterwards.
guess we
Okay.
can just try.
Yeah.
it.
Can you share the same mug?
I
Are
think
you
we can
grown
share
up
the
enough
same
to
mug.
do
We share the
that?
same mug, but
Yeah.
you one for each. Right?
All
We don't want to know, so you gotta go in the other room.
I
You don't have to go in the other
cookie
room.
cooties, I'm okay with.
We close our eyes or something.
Yes,
Close your eyes. Don't look my way.
we could. Yes.
We're just like la da da da.
See,
And then we're gonna listen to Kirk's thing and see what he's saying to us.
yes, Kirk will be next. We're gonna
Part
play my interview with Kirk to finish
Come
part
back,
2,
choked
and then
up.
you get a little bonus Kirk action with his testimony to the Senate committee. Which
That
is
one sounded like the Tahitian.
I didn't. What did I do with the weed that was in here? Did we smoke it? Did it get rolled?
It's right there. Oh yeah, we smoked that joint.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
I
so
rolled it.
gone.
Yeah, I forgot. And we should probably. I wish I had my bong with me. I don't know where it is.
It's
though.
from the bong. I got this
Do
hash
you know where
too.
our bong is? Thanks, man.
This Moroccan cream from actually from the Davie Street location.
Moroccan cream.
Yeah, super nice. Check it out.
Oh damn. Oh, it feels like silly putty.
Oh, just sticky and nice.
It's got that reflective surface, like
Sheen, we call that in the hash industry.
It's got the sheen.
And if you drop it, it should have good clack.
It's got the Charlie Sheen. Whoa. Look at that nugget. Wow. And it's a thick. Bam. Focus,
and you
no?
can bend it for them. You might have to go.
Here, you do it. I don't want to ruin your hash. Thank you. Oh, we got beaker.
Oh, is that the Moroccan hash? Sorry, I was totally not paying attention. I was pouring drinks.
Oh, good. Yeah, look at that bend. Woo!
Look at that bend.
Nice.
That's what she said.
Oh, and there's the Tahitian treat. And I guess the focus must be like set on there. I don't know what's going on.
Autofocus reset.
That's not working.
So how do you want me to do this? Do you just want me to hand you one mug? Do you want me to hand you each a mug?
Yeah, hand us one first, and then we can taste it, and then hand us the second one, and it'll be like, which one do you like better?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like the Pepsi challenge.
Shit.
Okay.
It's the Fruit Punch brand challenge.
There's number one.
Number one.
And if you guys remember the Hawaiian Punch commercials,
No.
there are cartoons. They have the little cartoon guy on the thing there, and
He's
he like
surfing.
he's like goes up and he's like gives a guy a punch.
See, it's not
quite
fair for me
violent.
because I know the Tahitian. They're like in my daily fridge.
You think you have a competitive advantage to telling which one is which? Oh, we'll put this to the test.
Okay, that's pretty good. All right,
Okay.
that's a good taste. Yep,
Okay.
it's good.
All right.
Quite flavorful.
Here's your second.
Oh,
Wow.
it looks like it's a different color, just slightly. Oh, totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
That's the Tahitian.
For one thing, it's carbonated, and it's yeah. This one, I think I like this one better. Oh, it's totally different because this one's actually more like pop.
That one's more like a weird juice.
The other one's like a juice. Yeah, this is. It's like they mix Hawaiian Punch with Sprite.
You know, maybe
So,
like boom.
do you know which one is which?
No, I do not know which one is which.
Which one do you guys like better?
I like the second one better.
Wait.
I
Does
like the
Cookie know
first-
which one is
I think
which?
this is the Tahitian treat, but
Okay.
But which one do you like better?
that one, yeah.
You like the second one better?
Yeah, second one.
Second one's better.
Second one's better?
Yeah.
All right. The second one is indeed Tahitian treat.
Yeah.
So if they
That
had
is
taken the
good.
time to read the can, they would have seen this one says fruit punch flavored soda.
Ah.
And this one says natural and artificial fruit flavored juice drink.
Okay.
So obviously this is going to be the fizzy one.
Now we know the difference.
But now you also know which one you like better.
We know.
Now I'm going to try them because I don't know what
Yeah.
it tastes like.
They're really good. They're both really good.
And we got
But
some right here for the audience
there's no
members to try.
competition though. Honestly, no competition for me. I would definitely be buying the Tahitian treat. But where do you buy it? though?
I brought in 5 cases from Toronto last time I was there.
I think I just buy Hawaiian Punch and mix some Sprite in
You
it.
could just put some Sprite in the Hawaiian Punch and you'd be pretty
it
close.
tastes exactly the same.
It
Yeah.
almost had the smell, though, you know? I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, before I had the Tahitian, I was saying, like, the Hawaiian Punch, is that the Tahitian? But it wasn't.
Look at the fish in the tank. Oh, it's gone. He's behind the glass.
Hiding.
So, yeah, man.
That was good.
Get your Tahitian treat in
At
Toronto.
High score, yeah, $5.
Where, yeah, exactly. If you have 5 cases, I may be ordering from you.
Tahitian treat is so sweet, and so is Hawaiian Punch.
And we are going to try to
I
have
think I just like a glass of
exotics?
water now.
some nice, amazing drinks at our new location, as Cookie just mentioned. Setting up our retro video game themed vapor lounge here in Vancouver. Coming soon. A lot more reporting on that soon as we get into that whole thing. If you like retro video games, you're going to be really impressed with what I'm working on.
I do. I'll be there.
Yeah. come play some classics of all sorts, not just arcade, console classics as well.
You should get that holograph one from back in the day.
Which one? The cowboy one? The Sega cowboy hologram one? That is a terrible game.
Or Dragon's Lair.
I was gonna say it's almost as bad as Dragon's Lair.
Left, right. Oh, dead. And then there was one kid. He was just like awesome at it. You're like, I don't know how you know what to do, man. Like, you must have spent like $1 million playing this game.
There's the Simpsons make fun of those games, those style of games.
Yeah.
With My Dinner with Martin is like playing a nerd video game that's like. It's like so. I can't remember what it is now, but I want that Simpsons clip. It's absolutely hilarious. It's a game that only like a like literary nerd would know.
Sorry, I'm just
And speaking
really
of literary
like
nerds.
Comparison
literary
here.
nerd. I'm just reading the cans here.
Alert nerd.
Nerd alert. Absolutely. These are
Nerd
both
alert.
made by the Dr. Pepper 7-Up company, guys.
Both of them.
Yes, both of them.
Damn, maybe
And
they just
this
pour.
can weirdly is only in English and Spanish, no French.
Oh, because those come from Mexico.
And this one only has English, which is also really weird
American.
for me.
Yep.
American. It's an American. And also Hawaiian Punch is partially produced with genetic engineering. So if you're into that.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Not.
I don't really know what that
Tahitian,
means.
No
you're
wonder
in my life.
I feel more like a Ninja Turtle.
Drake,
after
we know
drinking
what
it.
you're going through.
That
That's where he
is
gets
funny.
the source of his power.
But you know what? You nailed it though, because we get those drinks. Those are like Mexican drinks.
That makes all
Yeah.
of the
yeah,
sense.
because we have a whole bunch of them, and they're all the ones you can't get here. There's a distributor here that brings them up,
Mexican
imports
cola.
them, and you get the Yarritos, and you
that's where we
get
get those.
yeah, all the like cool Mexican drinks that are awesome that you can't get here, including Pepsi in a glass bottle.
Yes.
And all the old classics in a glass bottle. You can get Dr. Pepper in a glass bottle.
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Because I'd prefer the Mexican bottles than.
And I think it's made with cane sugar as opposed
American
to corn
plastic.
syrup or something.
That's exactly right. All the Mexican pops have actual real sugar in them, not high fructose corn syrup, which is not very
But
good
this
for
is
you.
low sodium and caffeine free, so that's good. That's two things you want to see.
Well, too bad about the caffeine, but
Yeah.
I like my small doses of caffeine in
Me
pop
too.
form, because when I drink coffee,
This is high
Makes me
fructose corn
anxious.
syrup. Water, high fructose corn syrup.
It also
Yep.
has 100 more calories than Hawaiian Punch does. Hawaiian Punch clocks in at 80, and this is 180.
That's
Damn.
what we're going for. We need those calories.
Anyway,
Get
I
my
feel like we're
gains.
just really an advertisement for Fruit Punch. So if there's a Fruit Punch distributor
is
out
stoner
there that
shit,
would like
though,
to sponsor our show, please get a hold of us.
if you have a better fruit
Or a
punch,
Tahitian
no,
If you have a
treat.
Fruit Punch you would
See,
like us to try.
we're not selling out, man. We're like, this is because we like it.
I do actually have
This
some
is-
medicated fruit punch at home. I should have brought that along.
And put it with
Medicated
the
fruit punch, yeah.
It's pretty good.
No, I actually, I don't mind
Tahitian
talking
tweed.
about the things that I like on my show, whether they came from a company or not. Like, I don't give a fuck. I will advertise Tahitian Treat for them because I like it.
But you're only going to endorse things that you personally use yourself,
Fuck yeah.
right?
Not just
Well,
for
unless they pay me a lot of money. Right? Just kidding.
But like, hi guy, those are great bongs. You'll
yeah.
be like, yeah.
Like
If,
my,
yeah, if they wanted to pay me for endorsing something I
Like
liked,
my squatty
then sure, I would be.
potty
I
or
would
mine.
absolutely do that. But you couldn't pay me enough money to endorse something that I didn't like.
my comfort
Trump.
blanket
Yeah.
or my
Comfort blanket.
squatty potty.
Yes,
Oh man,
exactly.
I would endorse a squatty potty. Holy crap!
Mercy.
There's only a few items I think that I would actually really endorse and become a paid endorser, because there's only a few items I really like that
My
much.
sleepies for my sleep
It's
apnea.
not, yeah. And I don't know what they would be, but maybe. And you'd
Nintendo?
have to be really sure that they weren't like, being made by slave labor and all those kinds of
Tiny
things.
children's hands.
Yeah,
You
that
never
would-
know,
There's
like-
some ethical concerns I have
I
about
don't even
most
know about
companies.
them canning up this, but whatever. It's in America, so.
Right. Well, yeah, usually the slave labor in America is still it's just that they actually pay them, rather than a couple pennies, they pay them a couple dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still pretty much the same
So
thing.
I have to jump in here. Colin in the chat
Colin.
mentioned that he loves Iron Brew,
Colin.
which is this
Tell us what you're hauling.
Scottish soda that's like neon pink,
Ooh.
and it was very odd when I drank. No, it's neon orange, but it tastes like it should be neon pink. It tastes like cream soda.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, it's going to be this citrusy, amazing thing. It was very disappointing, but it's like the biggest selling soft drink in Scotland.
Weird.
Yes.
Wow.
IRN, then BRU.
Iron Brew.
Iron Brew.
Earn
I call
Brew.
it Earn Brew.
Earn
because
Brew.
that's how it's spelled. But it's an acquired taste. Apparently, that's why there's so many redheads in
I always go
Scotland.
there.
They
Oh,
rust
yeah.
or something from the iron.
It's like from
brew.
eating
I don't
carrots.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heavy on the carrots.
Yeah. So now I have a bong loaded. See, high guy bongs, I would endorse.
That's why
I would give them
it.
my definite endorsement because I love these bongs so incredibly much. People are like, well, they're not glass on glass. It's like, I don't give
Glass
a
on
shit.
glass?
I don't
Bah.
care about glass on glass. Whatever. It's got a little rubber stopper.
That's what we got the give
What?
block for, bro.
I'm sorry. What does glass on glass?
Glass on
mean?
glass is, in the bong world, glass world, when you have a piece of glass that is meant to fit into the other piece of glass flush. And, yeah,
So
and they
mine's
like,
a little rubber guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it slides right in. Sometimes they frost it so it's not such a hard push together.
I've
But
learned something.
yeah, as you can see here, Cookie can point it out on the cam here. Let's show them the glass on glass. You got that. There you go. That's glass on glass.
Glass on glass.
Glass on glass. And this is the high guy. It has a little round rubber piece you can see.
So this causes like a stronger seal. That one just causes a seal, like, you know.
Right.
But it's
It is
still a
better
good
to have
seal.
glass on glass. It's a better seal probably. But this works. Hey, I've never had any problem smoking out of these bongs. Trust
And
me.
back in the day, I used to tell people, I was like, hey, I don't have a glass on glass plug in my bathtub, but the water stays in just fine.
Precisely.
You know?
Precisely. Yep. And but the high guy bongs are so tall, and you just don't see a lot of 3-footers these days. You need it.
Grab
you need a
the
big
3-footer
kiln.
and bring it on.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That's from hits from the bong. And I have smoked a high guy 3-footer with Be Real from Cypress Hill.
See?
Yep, he smoked out a Duchess.
I haven't.
And,
Oh, yeah, back in the day.
back in the day, we smoked for hours, and I got photos of it to prove it. I'm gonna find those.
Just got to name drop some other people too.
Yeah.
That's the no. We were quoting him.
Yeah.
We were quoting his song.
Name dropping.
Get the 3-footer, bring it on, yo. As I take hits from the bong. Where's that lighter at, though?
It's in my hand.
That lighter is gone.
You go first, then.
I'm just heating the shit out of this now.
Yeah.
Mine is not a 3-footer. Mine's just a little guy.
Stubbo.
Yeah. Hey, he gets the job done. You just have to be very gentle with him.
It's like my travel bong.
You want to pass that along?
So Jared can take hits from the
Yes.
bong.
It's from the bong. Yes.
I'm like literally torching the fuck out of this now.
This is Beaker. This bong is
I got
our
Chazzy.
science beaker. We call him Beaker. Mm.
Look at that, eh? Big chiefer.
Yep.
Yeah, Thomas is right. We need an e-nail.
Any nail sponsors out there? We're always looking
If
for
you're
a
an
table
e-nail
piece.
company and you'd
Your
like to
brand
sponsor
can be
Cannabis
right
Culture
here.
News Live,
Yeah, see,
please
we'll
contact.
take an email sponsorship. Hell yeah.
Seriously,
it
though,
sucks,
you can
we're gonna say it
contact. Who can we contact?
They'll contact us. Just reach out.
Reach out and touch a cookie.
Get that email.
Wait, I don't know. Hit us up on Facebook or Twitter or email Jer.
Email Jer.
Jeremiah at cannabisculture.com. Oh, man. So,
Just ripping the bong heavy.
I'd like some more of that Tahiti treat.
Oh,
Tahitian
of
treat.
course. Which one?
Cookie.
It was the bright. It's the one that's a little bit more neon pink as well.
Do you remember what store you bought it at in Toronto? You do? You don't want to say. But you don't want there to be a run on them there?
No. I originally bought it at the Hot Box Cafe,
Oh, you did?
and then I phoned Abby and said, where are you getting this shit from? And
Oh,
she
right.
said, Mr. Case.
Yes.
And then Chris and Aaron are working at Vapor Central, and they use Mr. Case, so I asked them to order me cases to the shop, and then I just picked them up then. But then when they stopped working there, I had to go to Mr. Case myself, and then I just have an account there, and that's it.
There you go.
Just tell them Cookies account. They're
Cookies
like,
account,
Tahitian treat? Yep.
Uh-huh.
And that New York seltzer, too, but it was out of stock, so they might have to
I
go
love
back
that New
for
York
it.
seltzer. Comes in a glass bottle.
London Drugs has it now, so it's like laughing.
And the labels look identical to the ones in the 80s.
Oh, they didn't even change. I think
No.
they just fired up that plant again. They were like, oh, we can sell that again? Let's turn that back on.
You want to know what, though? I noticed an interesting thing about the label on the New York Seltzer. It has a New York skyline on it. So did the one in the 80s have the Twin Towers in the skyline?
I'm just looking this up
Did
right
they have
now,
to take that
guys.
out on the new labels? Maybe they changed the labels to take out the Twin Towers.
We also need to get Concord Grape into Canada.
Ooh.
Concord Grape, if you guys are out there.
There's a Concord Grape one?
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. As
It's
soon as
not-
I like
not
crossed
in Canada.
Yeah, as soon as I like crossed the border, I was just like, give me all those.
I like the root beer. It's really good.
Tutti Frutti,
And they
black
have
cherry.
they have cola and berry.
Oh, it tastes like Dr. Pepper, and it's good.
Yeah. That is good. All right, so I guess we should probably get to this Kirk interview.
Kirko!
It's been like an hour. We've been screwing around, basically.
Nah.
And you're looking that up, Miranda? Did you
I
find
am.
anything?
I'm not really finding anything.
No, probably not. I mean, maybe the Twin Towers were never on the original
It doesn't
label.
look like they were. There's the Statue of Liberty for sure.
But they were.
I can't find a really big picture.
Pre 9/11 that I was drinking that shit. I
Oh, yeah,
remember that.
definitely pre-9/11 we were drinking that. Because it was as far as I remember, it was the 80s that those were popular.
Throwback.
Yeah.
Throw up, throwback.
Don't we sell them here?
I think we do now, yeah. We do.
Maybe.
Somewhere.
did.
I know I've
Yeah,
seen them
I
before.
bought one here.
Location?
Yeah.
I bought
They
one
used to
here
be
like a couple weeks ago.
Maybe that supplier doesn't have them anymore because London Drugs picked them up.
Yeah. This is our pop show. See,
What's wrong
stoner
with
stuff.
pop?
I actually
Send
really
in
like
your
pop.
special pops.
You know, it's funny. I tried to I didn't drink a lot of pop before, and I was like, I'm just gonna stop drinking it completely. And I tried for a little bit to stop drinking, and then I'm like, why? I enjoy the taste of it. I really like it, and so
Good.
now I think I even drink more pop than I did before.
Super indulgent.
Yeah, it's just good. Like especially cherry Coke, man.
Is that your favorite pop?
They have it here now, no?
Cherry Coke they have here now. Yeah.
Is that your favorite kind of pop?
Drex is on CKNW. My earlier not
CKNW.
knowing, I thought it was. I
Not
just wanted to be
WKRP.
Thank you for the
I'm
fact
just not
check
feeling
from Emil.
confident, because I.
Smoke a lot of weed and forget
I
things?
don't know. I knew it was CKNW. I don't know why I was doubting myself.
I'm always singing WKRP.
In Cincinnati. I love that show.
Dude.
Cincinnati, WKRP.
That was good, eh?
That song was good. And a Johnny Fever.
Oh,
Johnny Fever. Fuck. It's available on your Apple TV box if you want.
I have that
iTunes. You don't?
I have iTunes. Everyone has iTunes.
Everyone's got iTunes. Same shit. How do you play stuff on your TV?
It's a smart TV, so it just plays it. I say, play the stuff.
Yes. What
And then-
brand is it? Like a Sony or something?
A Samsung.
Samsung. They're supposed to be pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
All right. Let's let's move our conversation over to the BC regulations for cannabis.
Pretty soon we won't be able to watch our TVs and get high in
Yeah.
our place.
Yeah, so the BC regs changing, not so good in some senses, not so bad in others. Mostly, in my opinion, not so good. But Kirk, I think, has a fairly positive reading on things overall. Like, I mean, Kirk's perspective is as a lawyer, and he's looking at it that, he's thinking about how many people are going to be going to jail for it. And as we talked about, and just if you didn't hear the first part of this, you can go back to last week's show and listen to the first half. I am going to publish the whole entire interview as one piece later today or tomorrow or something. It'll be up like soon. I'll try to throw it up ASAP. And that's on Pot TV.
As soon as
So you can
possible.
watch it all at once if you want, if you missed it. But in that first part, Kirk does talk about when we first got everything going. There's what happens to the consumer, and that's getting a lot better. And there's what happens to the people who are in the business of selling cannabis, and that's not going to be so good. It's so there's going to be a lot less people arrested. It's good for lawyers, and it's good for overall for everybody.
system.
Good for everybody, I think. Except that it's going to be bad for the consumer as well because they're limiting your choices of legal quality cannabis. And of course, remember, they still are criminalizing people once this is all done. They're still going to criminalize people that don't buy their weed from if you don't have government weed, you're still in trouble.
Yeah, and they were talking about those genetic markers.
Yeah, we talked about that. Kirk and I talked about that. Kirk says not possible.
Not possible.
Yeah.
I also heard about one that was like a genetic marker that was supposed to be like injected into the DNA of the plant, but that's too futuristic. I had to put a stop to that one. I was
when
like,
I hear
nope,
these
not
things,
that
I'm like,
one.
I don't think
I'm
so.
like, there might be like a spray or something you can spray on a plant and like maybe like shine a fucking light on it after, but I don't even know about
That's
that.
what Kirk and I specifically talked about, and he said no, and he laughed and was like, "There's no chance."
That's even far-fetched because like really,
Yeah, I don't, and I think I mean, who knows what?
because they'd be
future
spraying
holds
that
these
on other
guys.
stuff to be like, you know.
Yeah, Kirk's like, if you know, they're not supposed to be. I did bring up to Kirk that you can spray lots of sprays on it. Other than that,
Yeah, and they'd probably light up under a black light or something.
yeah, exactly. All these nasty sprays that they're already allowed to spray on it. But Kirk thought, I think Kirk thinks that those are probably less harmful than I do, or I don't know. I don't know what Kirk thinks, but I don't like those 21 sprays that are already allowed.
Nope.
And also, I did, when Kirk and I were talking, and I can't remember if this was in the interview or not, but I brought up the fact that you're allowed to spray on dried cannabis. Yes, this is in the interview. And Kirk said that he didn't think that they were allowed to spray it on dried cannabis.
I hope not, because
Freddie-
dried cannabis is done. It's
No,
not
no.
going to do anything.
And I mentioned Freddie, and I said, I'm pretty sure Freddie Pritchard
Freddie
has
P.
the evidence lined up here. The specific, it says, like, you can, I'm pretty sure it's right on their fucking website, man. Like, we should go and find that and figure that out, where exactly that information. Freddie, if you're still in the chat, hit us with the source of where it says they're allowed to spray it on dried cannabis. I want to get that exact source, because that's an important piece, man, for sure.
The chat's actually on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, and which sprays are they allowed to spray on dried cannabis?
Yeah.
Is it all of them?
Hopefully none, because that seems retarded.
Yeah, like what the fuck
What
would you need
ever
to...
actually need to spray on cannabis? If that's a stupid question, I apologize, but I don't understand.
Like on dried cannabis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On any cannabis.
Oh, that's a good question.
Cannabis Substitution Project in the house.
Woo, woo.
Yeah, Mr. Neil Magnuson stepped into the room. Yeah, Freddie's going to find that source right now. He's in the chat, so that's
Nice.
good. Yeah, because, hey, man, sometimes even the lawyers don't know everything, you know? So we got to...
Well, there's a lot to learn.
Yeah. Neil Magnuson just passed over a cannabis substitution project
Leaflet.
Cannabis saves lives.
Our lowest lineup in a year.
Nice.
Smallest lineup in a year. So that's a good thing. I should get out of the way.
You should.
Yeah, give me
Should.
2 seconds and I'll get out of the way. I'll scoot.
Okay, so.
So they allow pesticides on fresh or dried cannabis oil or marijuana plants.
And Neil needs a microphone.
What?
You should come and say that on the microphone.
Drop that onto Mike.
Yep, get on that.
Give him that. Yeah, we need that.
Get on the mic. Get on the mic. Here, I can give you that one.
No.
You can have this one. Oh, yeah, to go to
Too
over there.
late.
Hot seat.
Hot seat. HS.
Careful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Seat's pretty
Yeah.
hot. Seat's pretty hot.
Preheated. Mine's preheated.
So, yeah, fresh or dried marijuana, cannabis oil, or marijuana plants or seeds. So basically, the regulations they list everything that you're allowed to put on the cannabis, but they don't really make the distinction. So you are allowed to do that.
Spray it on
So you
some
can do
fucking
seed
oil.
though. That's the thing. The oil, because most of the stuff that's like antibacterial, that's why you would do it. But all of it, even the most benign stuff on the list here, one that I think is even, I think it's just like potassium. There's a warning in the user guide that says even if you handle it, don't smoke afterwards. Like you don't even want to touch it and then smoke. You would never want to spray it directly into something you were smoking. I don't think.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
I don't want
Right.
that.
Yeah.
These are things that they're
And
allowed
I don't,
to
and
put
also,
on.
well, they're allowed to, but also the thing that surprises me is they don't on their. At least I haven't seen one. So if I'm wrong, please let me know, chat. They don't list any of those pesticides on their own testing. So they claim, well, this cannabis is tested, and they're telling you a lot of the chemical stuff, which I definitely am curious about. Although I also do like a surprise. I really just want cleanliness. I like a particularly sweet peach. I can deal with that. But they don't list which of their pesticides that they tested positive for. You're just allowed to use these, but you don't have to make any mention of it. So even like fruits and vegetables, like I'd like cannabis to be better, but also more diverse.
Wow, so that's bizarre. So they don't
wanna go
list,
to my own
they
regular
don't
dealer.
actually So you're allowed to spray
That's,
anything?
I want everyone who is growing right now, especially like anyone with a medical license, just get a business license and you're done. Like, what more do you really need? Deschedule it. This is crazy.
I don't even know why you need a business license, to be honest. I mean,
Freddie,
I don't know. I don't think there's...
with who I want to
Freddie
deal with.
saying?
I want to deal with my grower, somebody that I trust that just is growing weed, and that's fine. I don't need the government to tell me he's okay, right? Like, if I have a concern about whether or not my grower is using any of that shit on there, then we'll have a conversation about it, right? And we'll find out about these things. 'Cause these are real people.
Well, I'm okay with
This is
people
a
doing that.
corporation.
I'm okay with people doing that, say, up front on paper. Like,
I don't want to get my weed from a corporation. I don't trust the government, for one thing.
Well, you do get
failed
your weed from a
repeatedly.
corporation.
Pardon me?
You do. If you get it from Cannabis Culture, you get it from a corporation.
Corporation.
We're a corporation.
Yeah, okay.
Just because something's a corporation, it doesn't mean it's bad.
But not the
The corporations are all over the place. That's where lots of shit comes from.
I don't want to have
That
to
just-
get my weed from a corporation.
I understand what you mean. But I think.
so you want the choice.
You
That's
have
the
to be able to
choice. You want the
separate.
choice.
You have to be able to separate good from bad corporations, though.
Okay.
Because
Good and bad
there's
actors
lots
in
of
any
good
field.
corporations, or there's. I mean,
Okay.
maybe I don't want to say lots, but there's a few good corporations, and I think
Sure.
that Cannabis Culture is one of them. So.
I didn't mean all corporations were bad.
Right.
I just meant that I don't want to have to get my weed from a corporation.
Right.
That maybe if I want to, I can. Maybe if I find one I like, I will.
Well, where
But-
do you get your weed if you don't go to a dispensary?
Well, as an activist in the community, my weed comes from a huge variety of sources.
Yeah.
People give me
What's the
things,
guy's
I
name?
have access to things.
Give us the guy's name.
Yeah, hook it up.
You know what? Personally, I've never really been all that concerned about whether or not my weed is flushed properly or good. I don't think I want to smoke weed that's not flushed properly. I don't like it when it doesn't
Not on
burn
purpose,
right.
yeah.
I don't like it if it doesn't taste right or if it sparkles. I don't like any of that shit.
Sparkle weed,
I-
yeah.
I know good weed when I taste it. I smoke a lot of weed. A lot of people want to smoke weed with me. It's coming from I don't know where. They get it all over the place, right?
Right.
So, I have some snob friends who, and not that that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's their choice, but they only want to smoke weed where they know where it came from or that they grew themselves or something like that. And that's all cool.
Yeah.
But man, oh man,
They might have
you know,
corporations making themselves.
I come from a
You can
different
start a
world,
corporation
perhaps.
right now.
Sorry?
You could start your own corporation right now.
Sure. Like I said, I'm not making a judgment on whether or not corporations are necessarily bad.
Yeah.
I am making a judgment that corporations certainly can be bad, and I think before I walked
Right.
in, you guys have been illustrating the point. I think about the possibilities of corporations and what they're allowed to
We
do
know
and
what
get away
envelope.
with,
Right.
and what their particular motives might be, and that
Well,
sort of thing.
especially publicly traded ones or ones that
Sure.
are
So I want the choice, and when it comes to weed, this is all just bullshit. This is all nonsensical, waste of time and money bullshit about something that's never really harmed anybody in significant ways. And if I was somebody and maybe I am, I have cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. I get sick, once a year, sometimes for about 20 years, on what the medical profession likes to tell me is a CBD buildup that's triggered into purging itself. But I much more suspect that it's a fertilizer and pesticide residue buildup and things like that I encounter as I go. That's a rare condition amongst chronic users of cannabis, and probably those rare people that are chronic users that suffer that are just sensitive in that way because of their own particular biology and physiology. I happen to be one. So, and it's funny, I've had these lessons the last week. Talk to me about at least, well, maybe you should just secure the source that you're using and only use that, and then maybe you won't have the issue that I just went through again here recently. But my point was originally that, it's never really made a whole hell of a lot of difference. Like once a year I was getting sick, and I didn't know that might have been to do with fertilizers and pesticides. And if I had, maybe I would have changed my habits a little bit. Getting sick's not the end of the world. It has pros and cons. It's a purge and restore that ends up in being, pretty wide awake and wide-eyed, after going through a 5 to 7 day fast and,
Forced fast.
fast. Yeah, it's hell while you're there for sure. But coming out the other side of it has always been full of a real groundedness and a real enlightenment about different things. I've had many of my great projects and ideas, excuse my humility there, have come after being sick and going through this purge and restore forced fast. So but the thing is, everything can make you sick. You can eat bad chicken, you can eat bad apples, you can eat bad lots of things, and there's reason to be careful about what your food source is and whether or not
I'm okay with testing for food.
I'm okay for testing
anything
weed.
I ingest. Yeah, anything
Sure, I'm
clean.
okay with testing
I'm okay
for
with
weed.
clean.
And if I was a sensitive medical user that had perhaps more problems than I do with my cannabinoid hyperemesis, I'd be seriously concerned about where the source of my
If
cannabis
I was
is
a really
coming from.
sensitive medical patient, I would look towards isolates first, because if even the exposure, if the risk of the exposure is so high, why not start with a smaller piece?
And those things are there for people that want them, and that should be there. And those companies that want to provide that to people that require it, they're all there. And that's all great. What I'm talking about is the regulations on these things and the restrictions on these things, the government oversight on these things, that there's not the need for it that there is on so many other commodities that we deal with in our society here.
Yeah, coffee and hot peppers.
There you
Take
go.
it out of the schedule. I say
Without
go
even
back
saying
to
alcohol and
1919.
tobacco, or
From
pharmaceuticals.
1606 to 1930.
Exactly.
Sky
So we
wasn't
live in a
falling.
world full of things that have potential dangers if we don't use them properly, and that's just about everything in the grocery store. Certainly all of your house plants. You don't want to start chomping away on smoking most of what's growing in your yard.
Unless you do.
Well,
You're not hurting
well,
anyone,
but
I don't care.
if you're going to walk that path, you should probably take a look at those that went before you and maybe didn't even survive it and left some record. And we have those things, but those are dangerous things to do.
This one.
That's a dangerous thing to do, and there are guidelines for that.
Safety, just safety.
Exactly. There's
How do
books
you
that have been
bleach?
written if you're out in the forest, what you should and should not put in your mouth.
Poison ivy.
Those types of exactly. But cannabis is just not in the realm of any of those things, and that's my point. Is what's all this bullshit, nonsensical regulating this and that and public safety? Oh my God! The only public safety issues to do with cannabis is the overregulation of it, the stigmatization of the users of it, and that's a huge issue that the society better start to address pretty quick here. You're all good if you're a fucking drunk. But, you're a stoner. They're talking about it all over the media. We don't want stoners this, we don't want stoners that. They were today talking about, going in traffic or going to the work site. And now they're figuring out, well, they should be testing people, at work. And is that within the realm of what a company can do and this and that? It really isn't in Canada, by the way. That there's very little rights that a company has to actually drug test you or force any of that on you.
It's a strange and broad label. It's a very...
It is. And you have to be in a realm of where public or safety is involved, right? For sure. Oh, good. Cannabinoids. Like that.
Get that in you.
Well, I think it's like anything else. It's like anything else. Any herb, any medicine, any...
But it's the most benign. It's like anything else except it's the most benign. The DEA Judge Francis Young, 1989, I believe, ruled that cannabis was among the most safe therapeutically active compounds known to man. The safest therapeutically compounds known to man. You can smoke the shit out of this stuff. You can't smoke the shit out of most stuff without having some serious consequences. But you can extract down to just the concentrated, active chemicals on this stuff and smoke massive amounts of that, and you're still not going to die. It's still not going to.
Freddie posted the link to the 21 approved sprays in the chat. Actually,
Freddie?
Each one is way more dangerous than anything cannabinoid.
Yeah, I'd like to look into those sprays.
Yeah, even again the ones that are I'm half sure I got to.
So they're trying to irradiate the cannabis, right?
That's a
different. That's different.
That's a different thing.
Isn't irradiation another way to get to the end result of what these chemicals are mostly trying to address? Is that true?
This is.
question.
I thought it was about killing microbes.
Oh yeah, that's the.
And if you don't kill the microbes with the chemicals you're allowed to use, then you got one of your other options is to kill microbes with irradiation.
Yeah, that is
the case.
Which I don't understand.
Champagne of pot.
Because the only other thing that
White
Health
Castle's
Canada
like
allows you
high-quality
to irradiate and inhale is cigarettes. Like it seems like a weird route to go on.
And we all know that doesn't kill anybody.
If the argument was medical, like couldn't you? And this is just totally, I guess they smoke some cannabis, so I'm way out there. But could you add a process of pascalization to water hash? So if you really wanted to make like a medically clean extraction. There are ways, like it's not like we're using this as medicine for thousands of years as plants.
So they're so scared of the microbes.
It's not a crazy thing.
I mean, aren't all these chemicals worse than any of the microbes they're trying to kill, or what's going on with that?
Probably.
Better and worse. Risk assessment.
I'm not a microbiologist.
Not yet.
We never worried about microbes
That'd be a
on
good
our
guess.
weed before. I mean, if it was moldy, we probably didn't smoke.
We should have a microbiologist on to talk about this.
Yeah, that is. Let's bring one on.
This
is anyone out there in microbiology?
An issue that I think needs a lot more attention because what is the purpose of what they're making us do? I want to know the science behind it.
I think I want to learn more about beneficial bacteria, just so I know specifically what I'm looking for.
It just occurred to me that there are a segment of the population, a small population of medical users,
smaller people,
that are very susceptible to issues to do with moldy weed.
Yeah.
That is, I've been
100%. That's
sure.
why.
So if that's who the government is trying to protect, is that segment, then get the fuck out of the rest of the people's lives because we're not sensitive and susceptible to those things.
But does moldy weed even really hurt you that much?
Yeah, like I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how sensitive your immune system is. But again, I think that's a weighing of how sensitive your immune system is versus kind of what the general sense is. So that person should be able to get free isolates and anything else, no problem. But
I suspect if you bring in a microbiologist with experience in this field, he will have cases that he can point out to you where there have been issues where people were harmed by moldy weed.
Burning it?
Oh, yeah. Burning
it. I think that's true.
Ultimately
and like I said, those people with those sensitivities.
Why put them through that anyway? This is
but I've
all
seen
about
people with like
making sure
full blown and they smoke the worst weed I've ever seen and they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, like
absolutely, the medical issues need to be thought of.
Because you burn it with a flame. Mold and bacteria doesn't really make it through the flame. Like, it's just not... The things that make a mold bad for you are going to be destroyed upon...
Well, but maybe as you're pulling through the joint, you know...
Handling it,
as you're pulling through the joint, you know, the weed that you're not burning is still releasing, little microbes that are on it that you could be inhaling.
That's true.
You know?
That's you can't ingest
the
smoke
Mexican
spores that
weed
way.
and the Sensimelia from, like, Colombia.
Yeah, moldy weed tastes like shit.
And it was just fucking, like, pretty sure it was all moldy weed.
Well, I want to know what a doctor says about what moldy weed does when you burn it. Like, what is that?
But also, I think the issue in terms of the mold itself is if anything else was in that state, what do you like? You go back to the grocery store and go, oh, sorry, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not an issue, or you pick the other one out of the gigantic pile that you have in front of you.
Right.
But
yeah,
the
like my mangoes, I didn't grab the moldy ones.
The artificial control has made any issues of mold far more dangerous or prevalent.
Exactly. That is the point.
How do home patients grow without issues of mold? I don't understand. So that guy was somehow selling it. He just magically, there was a problem.
The government's going to say it's okay for you to grow your own weed. We're not going to test that. It could be moldy. It could have all the issues that we're doing all this shit for. But you know, we're just going to let you grow your own weed, you sick person down there. And yet, you know, other people, you know what I mean?
There's my friends
there's
got
no
the same
rationale
thing.
here. I actually love what's going on in our world, in this crazy mixed up upside down world. I love what's going on because it's exposing all of these prohibitionists and all these people with their other agendas about making money off of this and that. It's exposing all of those people for what they're really all about. We're bringing out into the open all of these people. Now we got the beer people. They're all upset that they need to have more taxes on weed because there's more taxes on alcohol, and that's not fair, and they can't compete, and blah, blah, blah. Right? And they're corrupt. You know, and I feel sort of bad for them that they're going to lose some market share. No, I don't. I feel really good for Canada and the rest of the world that now we're not going to spend our fucking tax dollars criminalizing people to protect an industry that has all kinds of problems. If there's taxes on alcohol, it's probably because alcohol is costing us a lot of money with the violence that it creates and all the other things that had happened. There's a lot of sick people. You know, there's hundreds of people that die every year in British Columbia of strictly alcohol poison. Hundreds of them.
Oh, I know.
You don't hear about that ever.
Yeah.
You know, we got an opioid crisis, and yes, it's now worse than the alcohol poisoning. Of course, alcohol also kills a whole lot of thousands of other people that are not just alcohol poisoning, that are related to alcohol in our society.
Drunk driving crashes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, we live in a very hypocritical world here, and I'm happy that we've pushed our issue to the point where these people are coming out of their holes and they're saying, "Oh no, but look at this." And then what they're saying is that they've been wrong and criminal for a long time. And if you put cannabis up against anything else in our environment, it does not need anywhere near the regulation that these other. It's not dangerous. It's helpful. It doesn't need taxation. It needs encouragement. I mean, you need subsidization. I mean, cannabis should cost zero. You should be able to get it.
Take it out of the schedule.
The government should
take it out of the schedule. Take it out of the schedule. Take it out of the schedule to start. Let the chips fall where they may. I don't even care if people complain about LPs. If people still want to smoke irradiated cannabis when it's out of the schedule and anyone can grow it, you'd never even consider it.
Yeah, exactly. Let us be. Leave us alone.
My parents might. They like to microwave everything. So.
We don't need nannies. We need public servants to get out of the way and allow us to do what we do unless we're hurting somebody.
Drink for people on palliative care that was medicated.
As Freddie says in the chat, moldy weed don't sell.
Why do you do this to these people?
Exactly.
Moldy weed don't sell.
Exactly.
And you
Somebody's
can see
selling moldy weed,
you can
they
see
won't be selling
mold.
weed
You can
for long.
see and taste mold on pod.
Yeah.
So,
Same like anything else.
but I'd like some sort of scientist to come here and tell us if small amounts of mold on cannabis or small amounts
we
of
should know, like,
microbes,
what's
is
dangerous, what
there
isn't.
actually a danger?
do it.
Where the fuck are they putting these rules on shit unless we know that for a fact there's a danger without them? So that's
You heard of penicillin, right?
Yeah, I'm
It
allergic.
was suggested to me just this past week that perhaps
Buffy.
the mold that might be developed on a cannabis plant may be beneficial. Maybe there's medical properties that are beneficial.
fucking weed
as
penicillin.
is beneficial as it grows on cheese and other different things, and we extract it and use it for things.
Rub that shit
Cannabis
on my
is an
nose.
amazing,
I've never done
amazing
that.
plant.
Pinocchio.
And mold doesn't necessarily mean bad.
Save, I don't know.
You know,
I'm
let's
torn
get
now.
microbiologists looking at this stuff. Let's get
You
the
got
science
Mo
going on with
and
this stuff.
LD.
and maybe
Let's
and maybe
find
they
out that stuff.
have, maybe they have, and we are just not educated to that side of
That's
things.
something I
But
never
we
even
will-
thought
we
of.
will
look into that and
You
do
know,
some
anyone in the
research on
chat?
that.
Is anyone up on this? I've never read anything
chatters.
about.
Don't quote me on that.
And educated or uneducated, I'm skeptical. If it's something to do with the medical profession saying something, I'm skeptical, and I always will be. They've earned that.
I've got my leeches and all.
Well, wait a sec. You can't have it both ways because you got to have some sort of professional tell you if it's true or not.
Yeah, I love peer-reviewed, fairly
Right.
unbiased,
Peer-reviewed.
reports on shit.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that some of these pharmaceutical companies generate studies
Right.
that, say what they want to say. And
Yes. So we have to be discerning.
I'm going to be skeptical.
Have
for
to
a
be
long
discerning
time.
about the
For
info.
The rest of my life, I'm
Yes.
skeptical of anything to do with the medical profession, to do with governments.
Yeah.
I'll
Show
never
me-
believe another politician.
Show me a peer-reviewed study.
Exactly.
That is,
Show
but
me their
And
peers.
show me victims. If there's
Right.
a problem
Who's
going
your
on,
peer?
show me victims. Why is our tax dollars being wasted
True.
to regulate out a problem that doesn't exist?
exactly.
That's right.
All right, we're gonna
All right.
do some Kirk
with that
action.
incredibly long introduction. that we
Yes,
do of Kirk.
and here's Kirk. Yeah.
And
It's
Kirk
seriously
Tousaw.
Excellent testimony. It's
Part
great
2.
testimony.
So first off, we have the second piece of my interview with Mr. Kirk Tousaw.
Hillary,
Cookies and concentrations.
And yeah, so the first
MC
there's like 20
concentrate.
minutes left of the interview, and then or maybe just even a little less, and then we'll play Kirk's testimony to the Senate. So here we go. First video first.
There'll be oils, there'll be
Kirk.
drinkables, there'll be
Kirk.
all manner of stuff, hash, derivatives, shatter. I just don't see that as realistic.
Let's talk about that side of it, edibles and extracts, and how I know that some of this obviously is federal, and there's some that overlaps into the provincial side of things. But what are we looking at a landscape? Like when we get legalization, whenever it comes, is it going to come with edibles and extracts, or is that something that's coming later? How's that going to work?
Yeah, well, the federal government has said that they are working on, or will be working on, regulations related to extracts, edibles, and derivative products. That's tentatively scheduled to be a year down the line. I've heard that it involves, piecing together 20-plus different federal and provincial regulatory regimes, especially when you start talking about food products. And so it's a complicated endeavor, right? And it's going to take some time. The tragedy of that is that the federal government still has not appropriately responded to the Supreme Court's decision in Smith. The patients continue to lack access to derivative forms of cannabis medicine, easy to get at retail stores that are operating unlawful, impossible to get legally other than in very limited formats. Although, a couple of the LPs are pushing the envelope a bit. I saw that Canna Farms is planning to sell keef, or is selling keef, which is obviously just trichomes harvested from the cannabis flower. It's like dry sieve. So I would have thought on a strict reading of the ACR that was impermissible. As I understand it, the theory is basically just, hey, it's heavily trimmed cannabis. The point of trimming is to reduce unnecessary plant material from your final product, and we've just gone ahead and removed a whole lot of that plant material.
It's not dry sift,
so
it's just what's left after you trim the entire plant away.
Yeah, trim the whole plant away. So I think that as this sort of experiment we're in here continues to evolve, and people continue to push the envelope and do different things, we're going to see evolution. This is not a fixed process. Where we are today is not the end point by any stretch of the imagination. Like I referenced earlier, the craft beer industry, 100 years after Prohibition, is still fighting against some silly rules, and I expect we'll be continuing to fight silly rules for a good long time to come. I'd rather be fighting about whether someone can possess 31 grams legally than fighting about whether someone has the right to possess any cannabis legally at all.
Absolutely. Kirk, just a couple quick things. I don't want to keep you for too much longer, but in talking about the extracts and edibles, things like that, we're talking about a year down the road. What happens in the interim, though? Do the new rules basically ban it until it's legislated? Or, I mean, what's the language about that in the current proposal?
Well, yeah, in C-45, yes, the answer is that would be unlawful. Those products are not lawful products. Bill 30 provincially, obviously does not allow provincially licensed retailers to sell unlawful products, and dispensaries that are going to make this transition over to the retail system legally are going to face some challenges, and one of those challenges is going to be getting rid of their current inventory and products and then taking on the products that are going to be lawfully available, and the different current retailers are going to have to negotiate that in different ways. And I have no doubt that many will continue to service their clientele with unlawful products. And I think there's going to be, I hope, some toleration for that on an individual jurisdictional level. It's going to be unlawful, but of course it's been unlawful this whole time. So that's not going to change. I do think you're seeing a shift in how this is being enforced. You're seeing a lot of lawsuits by municipalities against retail dispensaries, trying to shut them down using the civil process instead of the criminal process. Even that is progress. I'd rather be fighting, for someone's business right to survive rather than fighting to keep them out of jail. Right. I think that's a better fight to have for them. But it's, there's going to be these difficulties as we transition. Similarly, I think that our province, British Columbia, is a bit behind the federal government in understanding the need for incentivizing transition of the craft production and processing side of the industry. We really missed an opportunity to allow for, the vineyard-type farm gate model of sales in British Columbia, where you can have a microbrewery or a vineyard here, and you can sell direct to the consumer where you're growing the grapes or baking the beer or making the spirits. You could sell directly to if you're in the micro category to a number of stores within a certain geographic area directly without having to go to the provincial wholesaler. All that stuff should be imported into the cannabis regime. It still can be done by regulation under Section 130. The legislation doesn't allow for it currently, and I think that was a big miss because I think that would have really gone a long way towards cementing BC as the premier place to go for high quality craft cannabis legally. It's already that, I think, in the unlawful industry, but it would have been, I think, better had we really thought about transitioning these small businesses right away out of the shadows.
Right. Now, Kirk, we're talking about enforcement here and how that's going to look. BC has been talking about a pot czar. What would that look like, and what would this person do?
There's a bureaucracy here, and there's a lot of rules to oversee. People are going to have to apply. There's going to be approvals. There's going to be dealings with municipalities. There's going to be interrelationships with local decision makers. It's a big job, right? Like running any big bureaucracy is a big job, and I imagine that the person tagged by BC to do this is going to have their hands full, especially for the next year or two as we try to sort out some of the problems that are going to arise. Problems, some that we can foresee, and some, frankly, that we can't foresee, because this is new to a lot of people. And I think it's easy for us living in a cannabis bubble where we, have access to great cannabis, and we know lots of people in the culture and industry, the unlawful side and the lawful side. We're in Vancouver a lot. You're based there. I'm there frequently. There's stores everywhere selling cannabis. People everywhere consuming it. It's no big deal. And we understand the sky hasn't fallen. Everything's okay. And there's just sort of a social acceptance. But I mean, even in Vancouver, I do these Board of Variance hearings, and you get these people coming out who are, well, I'm not against medical marijuana stores. I'm just against them in my neighborhood. It's this continuation of stigma. But we live in a big bubble, and we have to realize that government is legislating for everyone, including some people that hate the idea of legalization, some people that are ambivalent towards it, some people that are in favor of it but have specific concerns. There's a lot of voices and a lot of different ways of thinking about these issues, and so I don't envy the person the job that they're going to have to do. I really don't. I think it's going to be turbulent times for the next couple of years or more.
Yeah. Well, Kirk, one thing that I haven't asked you about, and we've been talking about the new recreational system. What about the medical side of things? What about the patients and the dispensaries that want to remain dispensaries?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be rocky. I think it will be local in nature. Enforcement will be locally oriented, right? I don't think there's going to be some sort of province-wide program where everybody gets marching orders to go and, begin some sort of massive enforcement effort. I don't think it's going to be like that. I do think there will continue to be an uptick in enforcement by municipalities using the legal process, the civil courts, to try to shut down businesses, basically because they don't have business license. And those battles will continue. I do think that people in the dispensary world, many of them, I think, are trying to figure out how they're going to transition over. Many are also thinking about their patients, especially the ones that have, continued to service a predominantly medical clientele, or people that are using for therapeutic purposes, people that are using edibles and other products that they're not going to be able to get. I think there is going to be some people that continue to do that, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that there'll be some level of toleration for people that are doing it in a responsible, that are being civilly disobedient in a responsible way.
Well, how does the province? I mean, they're hoping that people will go to. I guess they're allowing pharmacies and places that traditionally deal with patients to now carry cannabis for the medical side of things, but they're just not allowing anybody to even mention the word medical at a recreational dispensary. Is that kind of how it breaks down?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's this sort of divide. In some ways, it's artificial because I think that even many people who consume cannabis recreationally are actually using it as a form of therapeutic treatment for stress or anxiety or depression or all manner of things. But there are certainly people that would take issue with that and say, look, I'm just using it because I like the euphoric effect. I enjoy the feeling it provides to me, and I think that's fun.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I do think that there is going to be some turbulence. The federal government is preserving the second stream for medical applicants, both commercially in terms of purchasing directly from LPs and personally growing for yourself and possessing more than you're allowed to, more than 30 grams that you'd be allowed to recreationally. The province has also carved out some exemptions for some medical issues. For instance, the 4-plant limit is not going to apply provincially to medical people as long as they're growing in conformity with their Health Canada licensing. So, there are some carve-outs. I do think that there needs to be a look at one particular section of the legislation, and that's Section 69, 73, and 74 not seem to have a carve out for minors that are licensed for medical purposes by Health Canada. So I think that's just a miss. Somebody just missed that. But for example, it would seem that an LP selling cannabis lawfully to a minor in British Columbia is running afoul of Section 69.1 that says a person must not sell cannabis to a minor because there doesn't appear to be a carve out for medical. And so, I hopefully that gets fixed in the regulatory process, but it's an example of the tension that exists when you have multiple systems.
Right, exactly. Huh. And so for those who say, the Compassion Club or some of these folks, like the Cannabis Dispensary Society here in Vancouver that have been focused on patients, I mean, if they want to continue doing that and using the word, like the name of one of them is the dispensary. So, is that going to be a legal fight? I mean, if they again, I guess some of this is about enforcement, but do you envision that, the name being a big fight?
Well, BC has said you can't use that term. They will not license you if you're using that term.
Right.
Whether that, if the dispensary, that particular dispensary seeks a license, then they're not going to get it using that name. Mm-hmm. If they choose not to seek a license and continue to operate in a civilly disobedient manner, then the question will be, is there going to be enforcement taken by the province against it, and will that include the name? I mean, I think I can't see the name being as big an issue as the fact that they're just unlawfully engaged in the sale of cannabis.
Right.
The name seems to me to be
I guess what I'm getting at, Kirk, is will there be, right now there seems to be some sort of constitutionality issues when it comes to the dispensaries themselves being allowed to exist. You've been fighting, and we've had wins, even like Allard, of course, the injunction is based on this idea that people can grow their medical marijuana at home. It's all to do with the medical side of things. Would there be, is there an avenue legally on that end for those who would like to remain a dispensary? Is there a constitutional argument there?
Well, I mean, we're making those constitutional arguments on behalf of Vancouver dispensaries in September in BC Supreme Court. I think that what the courts have said in the past is that patients are entitled to reasonable access to cannabis for medical purposes, including derivative cannabis products. My belief is that the system that we have in place for medical access currently has not yet met that standard. That is what we're arguing, both for flower and for derivative products. I think that we've in some respects in our justifiable excitement about legalizing recreational cannabis, we've forgotten that as a recreational consumer, presumably in October, you're going to be able to go to a store and buy cannabis. But as a medical consumer, you're not going to have a retail store that you can go into to obtain cannabis for medical purposes, separate and apart from the recreational stores. And I think that there's some problems with that. The other side of the coin is, as access becomes more readily available, at least in terms of the restrictions imposed upon that access by government, you have to put aside restrictions imposed because of socioeconomic conditions, which are traditionally not protected by the charter. But in terms of straight up government restrictions, every time access becomes more readily available, obviously the effect on your charter argument for reasonable access is to weaken it because access is becoming more available. So, I think we'll continue to have very strong issues on the derivative product front. I think that, it's going to be an uphill battle on the sort of retail store front once there are a bunch of retail stores selling cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kirk, are there any other red flags that stand out to you? about any of this stuff, or that you're pointing people towards that are really kind of the things that we should be focused on?
I mean, yeah, I think we've covered a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. And so if there's nothing else that stands out on that level, what do you think is the most effective method right now for people to be sort of fighting for their dispensaries? How do we help?
Well, I mean, in terms of what your listeners can do, right? I think the most important thing is to be politically active in whatever party you belong to, and if you don't belong to a party, consider joining one. Is try to have an influence on people that volunteer for that party, member and riding associations, right? Or go in and meet with your local, provincial, and federal representatives and talk to them about these issues. Exert political pressure in the upcoming municipal elections. We have a real opportunity, and a lot of what's going to happen is going to be, dependent on municipalities, to go and challenge candidates this fall and say, look, what do you think about these issues? What is your position? And tell them why they're right or wrong. That's important stuff because it matters. And somebody once said all politics are local, and I think that's true. Like, get out there and in your local community try to make a difference and try to educate people. And we'll keep on plugging away.
And some of that is on the municipal level, like you say. I mean, these rules are going to be worked out from municipality to municipality. Some of the rules, I guess that's what we didn't really talk about are, the things like proximity and those other sort of nuts and bolts stuff. That's not happening on the provincial level. That's happening on the municipal level.
Yeah, it is. And municipal government's getting a ton of power under Bill 30. So very, very important to go ahead and try to influence that. And that's the easiest level of politics to have influence in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, it's usually where a lot of the dirty details are.
Of course.
Awesome, Kirk. Well, I really appreciate you sitting with us for so long here, Kirk. Really a lot of info there. And, yeah, fingers crossed for the best. And I guess a lot of it is just we're going to have to see how enforcement goes.
A step at a time, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Kirk. Really appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. Be good.
Oh, that was Kirk.
Dropping
the knowledge.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I agree broadly with everything, but I really don't think that there has been nearly enough dispensary access as is. Like, there doesn't. Still seems safe to me. I don't understand.
What jumps out to me in that
watching
that when asked at the end there, Kirk, what jumped out at me was, where's the freedom?
Freedom
that we deserve here. That
farmers market.
Freedom.
You can't do farmers market. It's safe.
There's a squad that's right now dedicated to shutting down anything that looks like a cannabis farmers market out there in our city.
You just set up some tables and have like a hemp rope. They're like, nope, cannabis market. You're like, no, it's a fucking hemp rope, bro. They're like,
well, they got a hard on for it right now, and that's what they were put together for. And I'm sure they're just itching for any time they can come and exert their power and flex their muscles. So
probably called like the protesting pop-up place police.
I mean, there was complaints, but there was no victims. Right? There was a lot of people being helped that never gets talked about at all. Those farmers markets were supported. Every one of them was making money every day in the products they were selling, and every one of them was helping people with compassionate pricing and free for those that needed it. So none of that ever get talks about. But those people are now going without. There was obviously a good segment of the population that would walk through that market and stop and put their money down and say, I support what you people are doing and thank you. So it's not right for our public servants without victims to move forward and spend taxpayer dollars to use violence against those peaceful people who are there to demand access and enforce it.
I can't imagine it's more cost effective to enforce that than to support. Like, if you just had someone who just showed up in your neighborhood and said, hey, I'm giving out free car washes, just bring your car over to my garage anytime. I got a thing in my head, I just love washing cars. Why not support that guy instead of like,
because the other house because the other
you'd stop by all the time.
The answer is the other guy a block from you is selling car washes. A guy from you a block down is selling car washes.
It'll still be fine.
There's a
some people
victim
who
involved
wanna
in
buy a
what
car
you're doing.
wash.
You can't just be giving away free car washes in a
You
neighborhood.
can.
In a neighborhood where there's a prominent person there that's selling car washes.
like going around
and
cutting
that's what's
people's
going on.
grass.
I mean, a farmer's
wait.
market pops up to give the citizens of Vancouver access to cannabis in an illegal fashion because it's not legal to buy cannabis anywhere other than online.
Well, wait a second. It's legal in the city of Vancouver, according to the
Certainly
city.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
You can't legally sell cannabis
According-
in Canada
Licensed places
unless
can.
you're a licensed producer.
No,
there's licensed
that's not
places.
true.
What?
That's not true.
You're legal selling cannabis at Cannabis Culture here in Vancouver?
No, I don't have a city license.
Those with city licenses, they're legal to sell cannabis?
Yes.
No, they're not.
According to the municipal government, they
No,
are.
they're not.
Yes,
That's
they
a
are.
land use permit. That's a land use permit.
Well,
Those
that's-
people could be raided at any moment.
Of course,
in
they
breach
don't
of
get
federal
raided.
laws here.
They don't get raided by the Vancouver Police Department. They would get raided by the federal government.
nothing like that.
The Vancouver Police
Vancouver-
Department could absolutely, on behalf of the federal government, enforce those federal laws. They could. They choose not
They
to.
won't.
It would be quite the interesting case if they did. Once those businesses have licenses from the city, but those licenses are not to sell cannabis. They are to use that land, and cannabis selling is illegal until it's legal in Canada.
Nah, I think that you're maybe being a little weirdly semantical, or maybe I am.
I'm not.
It's like either way, I think it
But
makes it
weirdly,
legal to do it
dispensary
municipally.
access.
They're giving you the right to do it. It literally says in there that you can open a place to sell cannabis.
Yeah, cannabis
according to
retail
municipal
location.
bylaws.
But selling cannabis
that makes it legal.
is illegal
in Vancouver.
in Canada,
Yeah.
in
They've
any
gotta do
form,
that, right?
license or
still,
no license.
it's still illegal. But
yeah.
just like in this United States, you can be
Federal
federally
law.
illegal. Everybody's illegal, but it's legal in
So
this many
you're
states.
saying that in the States it's federal versus state, and in Canada it's federal versus municipality.
Yep.
Pretty
Wow.
much.
Thousands of municipalities all across Canada.
Or provincial.
They could break federal law.
Yeah, they are.
Because
Victoria, they're doing
well,
it.
yeah, and I know there's lots that are
Yeah.
breaking. They're not breaking federal law because if you look at
No,
what
they're
they're
not
actually
breaking
doing,
law.
they're licensing the
law.
use
Right.
of the land, but not for selling cannabis. Even though you say it says
Well,
right there,
it does though.
as a cannabis business, maybe for future sale. I don't know, but I do know
No,
that the Canadian government does not. It's still in the criminal code. It's right there. You can't
course.
sell cannabis, and
Yeah,
there's
but
no
that doesn't-
storefronts allowed yet.
But that's what I'm saying. One says one thing and the other says the other. That's just they're opposed to
read
each
it.
other. That's the way it works.
Yeah,
But that's the way they wanted it because they.
So
can
is
do
this
it that way.
is this a city council decision or is this a VPD decision then?
It's a both.
Because the VPD, like I said, they
Like
could
an
enforce
code.
those federal laws. In fact, they're probably sworn to do that to some degree.
Well,
no,
they are.
no.
To some degree.
At their
No.
discretion.
Yeah, they have.
But they have a city manager. Actually our mayor is the chairman of the city board, the police board,
Yeah.
and they get to decide on priorities.
And every city
Seems like a
actually,
low priority.
actually, it's
Seems
that,
like
it's the
when
opposite
you've got-
way that the cities decide what the mandate of the police are going to be, whether it's the RCMP or a private police like the
They do,
Vancouver
that's
police.
true.
Yeah, they all sit and they run those boards, and the mayor himself in Vancouver sits on the police board and has a seat on it and makes decisions. And so in Vancouver, there's really basically three points of power there. There's the mayor who sits on the police board. There's the police board itself. And then there's the city council who makes all these other decisions. So there's that's just, it's a combination of those three places. And all three of them in Vancouver have said, fuck you to the federal government. So that's kind of basically, even Vancouver police have even told the Toronto police, fuck you, essentially.
Yeah.
They won't do their bidding for them and have said they're not going to spend any money to go after people. And even when Toronto was trying to press them, they just sort of stood back and Toronto had to do it themselves. So.
Yeah, it's a good move on their behalf. I just think just sensibly it doesn't, why would you... Because I watched the council meeting the other day, actually, when, Melissa DeGenova
Yes.
put forward that motion that would force dispensaries to sell
LP
LP cannabis,
weed.
which
Yeah.
they can't even do anyway. So basically,
That's
it would,
illegal.
it would cause the closure of every single dispensary.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the night of when
setup.
they called the motion, she wasn't even there, which I hope she was okay, because you can miss things. Was the kind of excuse, or not excuse, but it was the reasoning for why she wasn't there when it was her who introduced the motion. That
Yeah, why wasn't she there?
It could have been. There could have been a personal emergency or something. So it's not fair. But I would
Right.
argue on the other side of that, if you're talking about taking away someone's medicine, you have to be there. I'm sorry
Right.
that things are tough, but someone's already in that
Right.
position, and you're
Wasn't even there.
So That's the
Maybe
long
she
answer.
was
Her
embarrassed.
perception isn't
But-
such, though. She doesn't see that that's what she's doing.
But
And
I,
it
again, I don't,
it
I don't
failed,
see it
obviously,
through
right?
her eyes. I'd love to come on the
Obviously
show.
it
I'd love
failed.
to talk to her about it. It did. No counselor supported it except for Hector Bremer, who, because no one could figure out a way to get rid of that motion, an arts bill that everyone liked, taking kids to the Orpheum and like Somali Heritage Festival or whatever, good for the economy, good for culture, got defeated. So maybe it'll come back in a week or two, but they couldn't get that done because they had to kill the night because they ran over time because they couldn't get rid of this cannabis motion. But
Why couldn't they get rid of it?
I haven't read Robert's Rules of Order in a while, but it seemed like there was an issue with what the status of the recommendation would have been, because she introduced a document, I don't know the term for it, and they have to decide what to do with it. So the initial solution was give it to someone else in the city. But if you give it to someone in the city, that's a directive. It's a written directive if you give it to an engineer, so he has to examine it. And he's like, well, look, I can file it, but do you want to actually give me a directive just to file so it sits on record? Because record is very important. When I was going through the Vancouver archives for something I'm cutting right now, the Sister Icy business license, it's the record for it. It's a pioneering head shop and dispensary right prior. Just this one Mark bought. Is that the? I don't know the full history. I wish David was here to explain it.
I don't know. Yeah,
But
I don't
anyway,
know how that
the
works.
business license is sealed until 2099.
Why?
Seems
It's a
weird.
good question. You can get the rest of the Warren Commission, but you can't get a business license application from the city of Vancouver until an obscure comic book reference, the Spider-Man 2099. Remember that series? They just
Yeah.
jumped all the superheroes.
It had a holographic
forward.
cover.
It was cool. Do it again. Yeah,
Holographic cover first issue.
they all did.
Symbiote suit was
But-
in there.
It's
So reasons
it's
for
a
not
silly
getting a
setup.
business license were tabled and sealed until like
And there's like 5 hours of
2099.
audio recording. I guess you can go down to the archives and take a look at it, but you have to like fill out some form and prove that you're trusted with sensitive data. Like I don't know what's in there, but
It's like the Lost Ark and
it's
shit.
strange.
They're
But
like,
anyway,
yeah,
so they
it's
couldn't
in
get
a
rid of this
warehouse.
motion, and so they had to kill the evening and lost a pretty good arts funding.
Oh, Melissa.
that's what I mean.
For
all
now,
this wasted
but
time and
doesn't
money.
get
It's all
reintroduced.
bullshit. It's all for nothing. It's all a waste of time. Let people have cannabis.
But none of the other counselors supported it, though,
Good.
which I think
Well,
is the
but
underlying point.
isn't Hector? He's not allowed to be the head of the NPA because
you got a new party now.
He's got a new party, but
he's got a
I
new
was so
party.
not impressed by that. He only supported it just as a show of support to someone who wasn't there. Like that was like, this is.
And Melissa, did you know
also
about-
quoted a
It's
statistic that
not-
I wasn't
she
able
doesn't
to verify. He
understand
said
the
that
issue at all.
the
She's just
amount
totally
of,
like
black market
ridiculous.
cannabis was 20, or the amount of organized crime black market cannabis was as high as 20%. But I've only seen 5 as the highest number ever. So I'd like to see where
What,
this
organized crime.
Involved in the cannabis.
Organized crime is a
It's whole
grower,
thing.
a wholesaler, and a seller.
That's
and
what's
then the
so
customer makes
silly
it.
about
I don't know anyone like that.
That's all organized crime is.
All right.
Joke.
So
Ricky
we have
Ricardo.
another Kirk video here.
Kirk
Or
too.
actually, this is the only Kirk video. The other was an audio. So this is Kirk
slow cartoon.
and
This is a slow
at
cartoon.
the Senate today
Smoke
at the
bubble.
Social Affairs, Science and Technology Committee, and they're hearing people there. There's a bunch of them. If you go to the front page of pot.tv, you can watch the entire whole speaker panel, or all the different speakers,
A lot of people
including
there.
Phil Emberley, director of the Canadian Pharmacists Association,
Jacob.
Jean Tuffaut, member president Association of Québécois des Pharmacies Propriétaires. I'm not good at that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Yes. Jeremy Jacob, president of the Canadian Association of Medical Cannabis Dispensaries. Philippe Lucas from Tilray. He's the vice president of global patient research there. James O'Hara. We talked about Philippe earlier. James O'Hara, president and CEO from Canadians for Fair Access to Medical Marijuana. Hilary Black, founder of the BC Compassion Club Society and current employee of Canopy Growth.
She spoke on behalf of the Compassion Club, though.
She did. Oh, okay.
Who's paying for these people to be there is a question.
Well,
The government.
Yeah.
We are. Eh?
Yeah, we are. We're paying.
You know,
And
it's a good thing that the cannabis tree provides buckets and buckets of cash. I'll tell you.
Buckets and buckets.
Because they're sure spending lots of it, and lots of people are rolling in it as a result of this plant. So
Kirk Tousaw also on the list
Pretty
there.
great plan.
It's a pretty great
It's a pretty great plan. Did you know that? It's pretty
Yeah,
great.
it's a pretty great
It seems
plan.
silly to stop people from growing it. It seems like just keep going, man. This thing just keeps giving. Great.
Yeah.
So
More
now
money comes out of this tree.
Let's see here. Let's watch this video with Kirk, and I just gotta make sure it's centered. There, it's pretty close, isn't it?
It's pretty good.
Uh-oh, whoops. What happened there? Hold on a second. I'm just gonna try and see if I can lift it up a little bit. Oh, that's the best. It's trying to do it itself. Good enough. All right, here y'all go. Enjoy.
So much you don't want to see.
Wait, what happened? Oh, Lord. That's funny. I know what happened. It's at the wrong spot.
man.
I was getting confused. Here, let's go like this. How do you get rid of that now? That's so funny. Hold on a sec, guys. How do you kill this thing?
We'll be back there.
You just have to back out of it. It's just
There we go. I hit escape. Where is the... there it is.
Escape it
That's the
out.
one we need. Now it's centered.
Well.
Okay, here you go now.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. I'm here as an individual. I'm here as a medical cannabis consumer myself. I use cannabis on a daily basis for chronic pain and have since I was 30 years of age. I'm also here, I'd like to think, as a voice for the hundreds of people I've represented in the criminal and civil courts over the years of working in this field, victims of prohibition that did not deserve to be criminalized for their conduct. With that said, a brief history lesson. 16 years ago, the late progressive conservative Senator Pierre-Claude Nolin chaired the Senate Special Committee on Illegal Drugs, which issued a comprehensive 600-page report on the issue that currently occupies this body's deliberations. How should the Government of Canada deal with the issue of cannabis? I had the privilege of speaking with Senator Nolin many times about this, and he regularly reminded me that he'd come to the issue a staunch opponent of legalization. As a father, he said to me, he was mainly concerned about the impact on his children. Senator Nolin, however, allowed and indeed demanded that the committee use a rigorous review of the evidence to drive its conclusions. And there was much evidence. This Senate study remains one of the most comprehensive analyses of cannabis and cannabis policy ever conducted anywhere in the world. The report began by acknowledging that at its most basic, the discussion is really not about people consuming cannabis. Under prohibition, Canadians consume plenty of cannabis. We grow it, we sell it, and we consume it in vast quantities. As the committee pointed out, the issue is really about whether criminalizing millions of Canadians for those personal choices is good public policy. The committee grounded its analysis in principles that should serve as guides to this body. Good public policy should promote freedom for individuals and society as a whole. The proper role of the state is based on respect for autonomy and individual and societal responsibility. Ultimately, Senator Nolin and the rest of the 9-member committee determined in 2002 that criminalization was bad public policy and concluded, quote, the state of the knowledge supports the belief that for the vast majority of recreational users, cannabis use presents no harmful consequences for physical, psychological, or social well-being in either the short or long term. The committee also concluded that it was prohibition that actually caused the most harm to society. The main social costs of cannabis are a result of public policy choices, primarily its continued criminalization, while the consequences of its use represent a small fraction of the social costs attributable to the use of illegal drugs. Concluding that cannabis prohibition is harmful public policy, the committee recommended legalizing cannabis for Canadians over age 16 and granting amnesty to anyone previously convicted of simple possession. The committee's specific policy suggestion may seem familiar. Quote, the committee recommends that the Government of Canada amend the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act to create a criminal exemption scheme. This legislation should stipulate conditions for obtaining licenses as well as for producing and selling cannabis, criminal penalties for illegal trafficking and export, and preservations of criminal penalties for all activities falling outside the scope of the exemption scheme. Honorable Senators, this appears to be precisely what Bill C-45 proposes to do, and the Government of Canada should be commended for now moving forward with reforming our cannabis laws. That said, I disagreed then and I disagree now that a criminal law-based approach is appropriate. At most, cannabis should be treated in the same general way we treat alcohol, a much more dangerous substance, a regulatory approach with extremely limited offense provisions. And I dare say that the Senate committee believed that any vestige of a criminal law-based regime should be extremely limited, because one of the report's guiding principles is that, quote, Only offenses involving a significant direct danger to others should be matters of criminal law, end quote. In the intervening 16 years, we've learned much more about both the harms of prohibition and the impacts of legalization. We've seen experiments in legalization, both tacit and explicit, at home and abroad. We've had a system of legal access, including legal home production of medical cannabis since 2001 in this country. We've had a system of commercial production and sale for medical purposes since 2014, which now has 300,000 participants. We've had a system of relatively open and widespread dispensary access in many major cities in Canada since 2014, and more limited dispensary access for more than 20 years. You can't walk 10 blocks in the city of Vancouver or downtown Toronto, or for that matter, Hamilton or Victoria or Seattle or Denver or Los Angeles without passing a storefront selling cannabis. These stores are selling, at least in Canada, so-called illicit cannabis openly and safely right now in almost every city and town in British Columbia and in most major population centers in every province in this country. This scares some people, and I understand that. Change is scary, particularly when you aren't familiar with the things that are changing. But I also understand that the evidence is clear that we have not seen and will not see the types of harms that so many seem to fear. Chaos does not reign in Vancouver. Every day you see people walking past dispensaries, and some going in the shop, just like they do every other store. 1 year after this change is implemented, I suspect we will mostly be wondering what all the fuss was about. I do have 4 specific recommendations. First, I want to reiterate my objection to a criminal law approach, because such an approach will continue to have significant negative external consequences, such as the continued disparate enforcement against visible minorities and those with less economic means. I hope that we move beyond this approach swiftly. But at the very least, we must be expunging criminal records for simple possession so that our previous bad laws are not anchors weighing down our fellow citizens' life prospects. We should also remove all criminal penalties in C-45 associated with simple personal possession and production of cannabis. On that point, secondly, I want to emphasize that lawful personal gardens are critical aspects of this reform. Allowing commercial production and sale, but criminalizing people, Canadians, with penalties of up to 14 years in prison who want to grow the exact same plant for themselves at home, turns the point of legalization on its head. Legalization should and must be about not criminalizing individual Canadians for cannabis. The development of a vibrant industry will of necessity follow. Third, and as a parent of 4 children under 18, this comes from my heart. We must not criminalize young people in our pursuit of our laudable goals of trying our best to keep them safe and give them the tools they need to make responsible choices. We've tried the criminal approach. It isn't working now, and as the Senate committee determined, it is actually the single most significant source of harm from cannabis. A criminal penalty of up to 14 years in prison for a 19-year-old that shares a joint with her 17-year-old cousin is abhorrent and morally insupportable. Fourth, as we implement these changes, we must be looking for ways to transition the existing underground cannabis economy out of the shadows and into the light. This change is scary for them, too. Most, 95% of the domestic industry, are not involved with criminal gangs or violence in any way. I've represented hundreds of these folks over the years. They are small farmers, small shopkeepers, and people that love this plant. They are also a rich source of knowledge and experience, and let's be very blunt. If we don't bring them into the fold, many will likely to continue to operate outside of it. That is not good public policy. Finally, I want to thank the committee for the opportunity to address this critical issue. I also want to thank Canada for taking this step and bringing in legalization 1.0. It is not perfect, but it is an important first step. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much. And that completes our 3 panelist opening remarks. And now I'll go to my colleagues.
Very wise words there at the end, for sure. The criminal law makes things worse, and it's a serious violation of our rights, because a crime is intentionally causing harm to other people. And when you say it's a crime just to disobey government, which involves having some plant matter on your person, where there's no victim, no intent to harm anyone.
Mens rea, yeah.
It absolutely, there's no mens rea, the act of thinking that you know and understanding you're going to harm someone. There's no actus
There's certainly
rea
no case
where
of
you're actually
willful
harming
blindness
somebody
either.
in any significant way. There's no victim there. When
Where's the
you
victim?
say that that person is a criminal and you bring him before the courts and he gets a criminal conviction for that, that undermines our entire justice system. That brings our justice system into disrepute, and that needs to stop immediately right then and there. It's meant the proliferation of organized violent criminal groups that will supply a demand that's there. All of this is on the hands of the government. All of the blood of all of the people that are victims of this prohibition is on their hands. They need to stop it immediately. At least suspend all hostilities, all spending on any enforcement
Ceasefire.
to do with
Ceasefire.
anything to do with
Ceasefire in
cannabis
the
on
drug war.
in a criminal way, where there's no crime being involved, where there is no intent to cause harm anywhere. That's the bottom line for me.
Yeah.
Is this is all a criminal attack.
Complete
on our
ceasefire in
rights
the drug
as
war. If
people
it's a
here.
drug war, complete ceasefire.
Exactly.
Suspend immediately.
That was Kirk at the Senate. You can watch all of the rest of the speakers on the front page of pod.tv right now. The entire video is there, thanks to Anil. Putting it up there.
And speaking of which, Ed Fortune out of jail.
Oh, is he?
Won his case.
And Jay Weedman.
Yeah, he is out. There's
I guess
a
I
great
can't
video
go on
here.
yet.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
I
amazing.
mentioned when
Good
I
to hear
first
that.
came in the studio about the Cannabis Substitution Project yesterday. We had our smallest lineup ever in over a year, which is great. We typically have a smaller lineup on the day after Welfare Wednesday.
2 days?
That's it.
How many days a week?
But we've gone to 2 days a week now for the last 3 months, and we're definitely having an impact. And we did have people for over a year getting 1 packet a week and learning to live with that. And now we give out 2 of equal and greater numbers than we did before, twice a week now. And so having a small lineup is a great thing. And it was a real nice, peaceful day event. We still gave out just under 100 sandwiches and care packs to people. Yes, we had THC sandwiches. That's turkey, ham, and chicken. But they also had THC in them. But what's really cool, thanks to the Dirty Dave, and he's a saint, that guy. He's brought sandwiches down a few times now, and that's a real healthy thing to give people.
Very cool.
And infused as well. So yeah, the Cannabis Substitution Project continues on, and it's opening chapters independently across this country. I get calls regularly from people asking, how do I do this? And we're going to do this here.
How do you do it?
Here. Well, if there's a user group in your area that you can contact with, like Vandu in Vancouver here. If not, if you're in an area where you don't have a user group, but there is a large number of users, if there's a place where they get together, at a regular time where you can, talk to them, you can get them to form a user group. It's a really good thing to do for people. It helps them with all sorts of different issues in their struggles in life. So you can start a user group by calling Vandu, getting in touch with the Vandu offices, and they will help you run through that process of what you can do. There are many other user groups. There's Solid in Victoria, and they're running a cannabis substitution project there. And so once you've connected with the user group and got them to understand what it is you want to do, and you will get their support, because people are learning all across this country that cannabis is an effective substitute for the opioids and can help people transition off of those street drugs in a very nice way, by the way. I mean, the people who are on the other side of that will tell you, cannabis saved my life, and my life is great now. So, and it's a wonderful thing that's going on. It's a movement for sure. And so once you've got the support of the user group or the support of the users themselves, then I recommend you go to City Council and you plead your case to them and you tell them what you're doing. They probably won't support what you want to do, but at the same time, you need a network of people that are willing to get behind you and to provide donations. And then as you have gathered donations, pick a day, start figuring out the way to get a lineup going and hand them out, see what your needs are, try to meet those needs. Be resilient and be persistent. Make sure it happens on that regular basis all the time. Sustain it for a period of time, and the community will get behind you. It is a bit of a big job. You need people that are dedicated. But it's a very, very important thing that's happening. It has to happen. I mean, this is how we're going to get back our communities and stop our loved ones from being taken by this horrible scourge of overdose. The overdose crisis is hitting all walks of life. It's not a homeless, poor situation.
Carly Marley's in the house.
Also, I think also just the residual effects of it. I was told that in major cities, it's taking additional months to get a full autopsy because there's just so many bodies. Yeah. That's like, who is that good for?
Oh man, It's something that we need to help with, for sure. We all feel that. Most of us have been touched by it in some way. We know people who know people or family. So this is something that we can do. This is the right thing to do. And like I say, if you can get a program going, you can sustain it for a period of time, you will get the support of the surrounding community. The cannabis community will help. And we can do this, and it's a countrywide thing that needs to happen, because this is a countrywide
So start a user group.
Epidemic. Start a user
Split
group.
it
Find
immediately
users,
in between.
You know,
people
let
who need
City
it,
Hall
people
know
wanna
what you're
organize
doing,
it.
I guess, is a good idea. I let the Vancouver Police Board
Find some
know what I was
cannabis,
doing. I'm not sure
get a table.
that's the right or wrong thing to do, depending on your community. For me, it was, and I got encouragement from them. Didn't get any resistance in any way, and it's been 15 months with no interference from them whatsoever.
There you go.
Like I said, I did
As
get
it
some
shouldn't be. It's a
encouragement.
great program. I've seen
It's
it
a great
firsthand.
program, and they know what's going on out there as well. And cannabis works. What the hell? If cannabis works, then let's get it out
Exactly.
there and get it going. So
Good work, Neil.
If you're an individual or an organization in the Lower Mainland and you want to volunteer or donate, how do they get a hold of you?
yeah, volunteers. We have a good group and a core group that come there every time we're there, and they're very dedicated. We always like more dedicated people. There are things to do. There's line management. There's joint rolling. We like to have some media happen, and we also are very desperate to get some empirical evidence happening. I've got the BC statistics people telling me they're just waiting for the approval on their grant, and that they will be there and doing a good job of that coming right up.
What
So-
about actual donations and things like that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
donations, you should contact me for that. I'm still the guy in charge.
How do they contact you, Neil?
They contact me through Facebook at Neil Magnuson or the Cannabis Substitution Project. Did I give you a...
We have a flyer.
Yeah.
But
So I got a question for you, Neil. So theoretically, how do you think the proposed provisions would affect cannabis substitution? Because if right now you accept all your cannabis from donation,
Right.
like,
And,
is there a federal donation program for
you know, I
medical
mean,
cannabis?
if the government was involved at this point, it wouldn't be happening, because everything would have to be coming through licensed producers. Everything would have to be properly labeled. There'd be all sorts of requirements on you screening people or this and that, and it's all bullshit. And I started this project, you know, with that in mind, about like, let's try to satisfy the powers that be as best we can with having properly labeled and tested things, and doing it, not going through LPs. I boycott the idea of LPs at this point until, you know, it's easy to get an LP license and all the current industry is included. Then I want nothing to do with those people that are, you know, who knows what they're doing to our cannabis, and they're using the money to put the other people out of business. So
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with LPs, and I'll fight that fight to the end with our cannabis substitution project. If they were to demand, we'll let this happen, we'll help you make it happen, but you got to use LP weed, I'd say absolutely not. And with respect to properly labeling and testing, we do test most of the edibles that come in, because my girlfriend likes cannabis, and I can tell when she uses some whether it's strong or not. So I do let her try a sample and just see whether it's, you know, how it's going to affect people. We're trying to do our best about warning people about not eating too much. We're trying to do a good job of what having.
You give out
we're not,
information, though,
by
yes?
the way, we are not doing a good job of getting things properly labeled. We have some that's awesome. Green Wilderness puts their gummies into wonderful packaging that everything's on there. It's beautiful. You know, Herbie's Cookies, he's got cards that go in there and there's information on there that's good. But other stuff comes to me. I look at it. I mean, I know it's coming from the heart. I know, you know, many of the sources that I've worked with in the past in many different ways. And like I say, we'll have my girlfriend and a couple other people, if necessary, give it a test to see what the potency of it is, just to make sure.
Dangerous
If we're not,
job.
and
I'll
that's how we're
sign up.
testing
I'll
stuff.
volunteer as well.
And you know what? You know, the
the
reason
good.
I'm doing that
It's just
is
responsible.
because the need is great. Is because the lineup is bigger than the supply. And the help that we're doing is phenomenal, and the harm that we're doing is almost zero, other than I'm sure many of the people that's got our handouts have eaten too much at one time, once or twice. And in talking to those people about that, they don't do it more than once or twice, and then they're not going to do that again. But they are going to keep using
The ability,
cannabis
the
because
ability
it's
to make
helping
that
them sleep.
mistake safely,
It's
unlike other substances.
Right.
What a novel idea.
It's a wonderful miracle substance for these people in this community down there on the downtown east side, for sure. And this project needs to happen to help them. Other people out there in the world that have resources, they need access to cannabis edibles and concentrates. That's what works for them. Restricting them from dispensaries is criminal. It should be available in every neighborhood that people, because, and discreetly as possible. There should be mail order, there should be delivery, there should be ways for people to get cannabis edibles to their home
anytime they want, because that's a solution to many people that are using the street drugs and risking their lives every time that they do it. If they had access, if they understood the power of cannabis edibles, they would try it at least. And if they try it, they're going to like it, they're going to love it, and that'll be one less mother's son that we're going to give up to this crisis because of prohibition. And this crisis, trust me, is nothing but prohibition driven. If we didn't have prohibition, we wouldn't have fentanyl deaths going on across this country.
I think ease of access would be,
that's the
ideal
answer.
Ease of access, which for some people in big cities is.
That's why we're giving it
really
away
easy.
for free.
So that should be the standard.
That was my idea.
Access.
Was let's give it away for free to people that could
100%.
use it that maybe can't afford it, and everybody else should have easy access, because
National
that's
co-op.
one of the answers to this problem. That none of their solutions are having a dent or putting a dent in this. Cannabis is putting a huge dent in it already. We've got numbers that show that the flooding of cannabis edibles into the downtown east side has reduced the number of deaths in that particular community substantially from the other communities around Vancouver where they don't have access.
I wanna see that
needs
More
to,
research.
that's why
Come
we
on
need
in,
more
help us,
empirical
man.
evidence to show the good that we're doing, and then this project needs to be put everywhere. Taxpayers should help, and it shouldn't be forced into using LP weed, because you're not going to overdose anybody, you're not going to kill anybody, nobody's going to get sick on cannabis to any great degree if it's produced in some reasonable fashion. Food safe, all for it. Proper labeling, all for it. But as a requirement, as a restriction that would deny people access to something that will save their lives or their loved ones' lives, that's abominable. It's criminal. It's horrible. You can't let government restrictions and bureaucracy stand in the way of saving people's lives. This is
Neil,
horrible.
it sounds like you mean it.
Yeah, I mean it, and that's how I
Neil
feel
is
about
very
it.
passionate about it.
Sounds
But we're
sincere.
gonna
This type of conviction.
Neil,
don't
I
know.
appreciate you
That's how I feel about
coming and telling us about the project and all that's happening. But
yeah, we need donations, by the way, for sure. We will accept donations from anybody. We like caps, we like flowers, we like edibles in any form. Yeah, if you think what you have can help us and you would like to help, we would love to have your help, and I will manage that and make sure that works. And that's what we've been doing so far. We're giving out 700 to 1,000 edibles every time we go there, twice a week now, and that's an incredible amount. We have boxes and boxes of stuff, and more is more than welcome. We do satisfy the line most times, but sometimes the last dozen of people are just getting a joint or a can of cap because we don't have enough for more care packs for them. So we could still use more, and if you want to help, that's a great way to help us. And if you want to come and take information from people or help document what we're doing, line management,
get a hold of Neil.
Yeah.
You can talk to them about
Van
it.
Du,
Neil.
380
We're
East
gonna-
Hastings.
We're actually
Tuesdays
we have
or
two, we have
Tuesdays.
two people sitting over here that I want to bring on the show. They
Sundays and Thursdays
they
at
happen
noon.
to do a Monday night show
Yeah,
around
I
here.
believe
Sundays
they
and
are
Thursdays at noon.
on the show.
Sundays
on
and
this network
Thursdays at
quite a
noon.
bit.
They are. They have a pretty popular little program, actually.
Sundays and
Possibly
Thursdays at
our
noon.
highest rated. I was looking at some of the traffic, and these ladies. These
Yes.
ladies doing an amazing job.
Yeah, they are. I think the highest rated show.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
If you look at the analytics.
Sensible cannabis laws don't stop.
But you two, you two should come over here and take the hot seat.
We
And
need to
these,
switch it up.
thanks guys.
Thank
You guys
you.
are awesome.
Like, oh no.
And get a hold of Neil on Facebook. Neil and then Neil.
Thursdays and
That's
Sundays
true.
at noon at Van Du, 380 East Hastings. Please come down. Everybody's welcome to come down and
There you go.
help out.
Yes. There's a lot going on in the Vancouver cannabis activism community.
Oh, is there?
There is. Actually, we have Cannabis Day coming up soon. Neil, we're going to have to get started working on that soon. Yeah, we'll be doing that soon.
Cannabis Day. What's Cannabis Day?
Cannabis Day.
Oh, we can get you an ashtray.
Yeah, here in Vancouver, we have an amazing little Cannabis Day. It's a lot like 420, just a little smaller,
Right.
similar.
Well, where are we holding
And
it this
so
year?
look at the hot seat here. Hello, ladies. The 420
Hello.
lifestyle every Monday at 4 p.m. on Pod TV. How's the show going, ladies?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Decently? I'd say you guys are doing pretty well. The audience seems to approve.
Yes. The audience is yes.
What was the last fruit that you guys smoked through?
Pineapple.
Pineapple? Is all the mics on and everything? Okay, good.
I think now we have to just figure out what ones we haven't used.
I really want to do a citrus snowman, and I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for a long time. Like, I want to stack like grapefruit, lemon, lime, maybe an orange, you know. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, if you cut like angled in, you could like stick the lemon in pretty easily. So we'll probably do that one soon. I really
we
want to do
haven't
that
done
one.
like a papaya or a cantaloupe.
Have you done mango?
Yes.
Mango. That was probably
Both
the first.
Oh, one of the first ones.
Through a steak.
I don't
Neil,
like steak, and she don't eat
steak
meat.
I don't eat meat.
Steak turps
Celeste is going to
delicious.
take a bong rip out of a bong that's filled with hot dog water, though. We decided that.
Oh.
Like, when did we fucking discuss
Hot dog
this?
bong.
Well, somebody suggested it, and I'm not smoking meat water, so
Then
it
we
has to be
should also- the
you.
other
This
one
is
was
why
like
we
a-
pay you the big bucks, Celeste, is to smoke out of hot dog water.
But what about like a kiwi chillum?
Yes, kiwi. Did we do kiwi? No. I think we
never
had a
did
kiwi
kiwi.
on, but I think Liz might have done it because I remember Liz getting
She had a
excited
turnip.
about. She did a good job with that turnip. Butternut squash is a lot of fun. Yeah, we're gonna do more summery fruits probably coming up. Some weird ones that we can find.
Watermelon?
Watermelon's like my favorite.
Yeah.
Dragon
you could
fruit has
save
no
all the
fruit.
water.
What about like
No
little
flavor.
berries? Have you tried
Oh,
like doing raspberries?
Cherry
Actually,
poppers.
what got us
Yeah,
started on
cherries.
it was Celeste just brought strawberries in with her one
Yeah.
day, just as a delicious, tasty snack. And then right before the show, she's like, "Hey, fuck it. What if we tried to smoke out of these?" Okay. So we just poked holes in it, and we were using strawberries as like roach clips. And we're like, this is delicious and fun, and we should do this all the time. And while we were talking about it, we were kind of like, whoa, we're getting the strawberry flavor, which means we're getting strawberry terpenes. So maybe those strawberry terpenes are modulating the cannabinoids from the weed. So now we're really curious about how fresh fruit terpenes modulate your cannabis high.
Now I'm curious about different food though. Like I tried to make a pipe out of Starburst. That wasn't very successful.
It kind of
started to melt after.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it would carry
Gooey.
heat very
Twinkies
well.
aren't airtight enough.
Twinkie, yes, yes. No.
Didn't work.
We
How
learned that the
about
hard way,
like
too.
how about like a dill pickle?
A dill pickle.
Dill pickle.
Dill pickle?
I was gonna say, or even a
Yeah.
cucumber.
I really
Right?
want to challenge
Dill
ourselves
pickle.
Oh, no, we
and
did-
start
no,
doing
we didn't
like
do
some
cucumber.
gross stuff and stuff that's like a little risky. Like I'll turn an onion into a pipe. I'll do it.
Onion,
I
yeah,
fucking-
there you
a
go.
jalapeno pipe. I'm like, if I do a
Jalapeno.
jalapeno pipe, I'm like, I feel like if it were to be like
You
a
have to do that
habanero
next.
Yeah, you
or
have
something
to.
like that, that would be ridiculous. That's kind of stupid. But jalapenos aren't really that hot. But I'm
No.
probably still a fucking
Do the
idiot.
whole
Probably still
do the whole
fine.
pepper family. You should do red pepper, green
Yeah, you can
pepper,
start with, like, your
jalapeno.
base-
We said,
basic
you know what?
peppers.
We'll start with red peppers, and we'll see if that makes us like tear up a little, and then I'll go to maybe we should do peppers next week.
And like
I'll
with
do
onions,
the jalapeno at the end of the show, just in case I like cry and need to go to the hospital.
when you do onions, you
Don't
have to
try
start
it
with
at
like the
home.
really sweet ones, so like a nice Walla Walla onion or something like that, and
yeah,
then you
that
can
makes
kind of work
sense.
your way up, so it's not too
Those
acidic
little-
because that's gonna just kill your eyeballs.
Those little white cocktail onions.
Oh yeah, no. Pickled onions.
Those are
Ew,
good.
those are so gross.
Those are awesome. I
They're
love
gross,
those.
and they make your breath bad, Jer.
They're good.
loves
Tasty.
them.
It's once I'm done with the onion pipe, I'll give it to you because I know how much you love onions, Jer.
But you two have been doing a lot of cool stuff on your show.
Yes.
And BC Bud Gal's been doing some crazy other activism work as well, live on the Pod TV feed. How's the front going?
Well, there was actually a Kinder Morgan thing today at the Marine Terminal, but it was at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I definitely did not make that. I think sometimes I get you have to be there bright and early, but I think sometimes they need to have it held back a little more, because even last time it started at like 9 a.m., and then you had people show up at like 12, and there was nothing happening anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
Right.
have
Those
lives,
midday protests. or
Activists
to-
sleep in usually.
or switch.
Yeah.
Like, have people
They're up
swap
all
out
night
or something.
ranting on Twitter and Facebook about the corruption.
Yeah.
So they need to sleep in.
Yes, that's
But
awesome.
it's just funny how Alberta says, "Oh yeah, we'll cut your taps off." It's like, you do know we're on the coast, and we give you a lot of your stuff.
Yeah.
You want us to cut that off too, and your BC bud. The other one I saw was how Alberta wants to sue BC, but yet all the Albertans want to come here and take their summer vacation here.
Nah.
And
So
there's
maybe you should
also-
all just go home.
I love this fact too, that they're so worried about
Interprovincial
us trying
battles.
to stop the pipeline because that's going to hurt the economy. And in turn, they're like, we're not doing these sales with you. because that's going to be great for the economy, right? That's the solution to
I
the
know.
problem that you think is a problem, is to create that problem before that problem actually exists.
It's
You're
really
right.
just
It's bullshit.
gangsterism when it comes right down to it. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's the biggest bullies in the playground going at it. I mean, I don't understand it.
It's
And
really.
it's illegal. The fact that we're even having this fucking discussion still rattles my mind. It's not allowed. It is not your territory. It is not your land. You cannot legally put it there. Why are we even having this discussion? It's like, are they allowed to do this? Yes or no? No. So why are we even having? How is it even that it's gotten this far and that we even still have to discuss it?
A lot of judges.
The Supreme Court threw out the cases that the Coast Salish people put, or Squamish, I don't know what the wording exactly was on there, and then also the city of Vancouver.
We were just talking about how we really want to do a live auction show. We've been wanting to do a glass artist show for a while, and we thought, hey, it might be fun if we get those glass artists to bring in some pieces where we can auction them off and do some live auctions, and maybe include a hand-carved piece from BC Bud Gal, maybe do a wire wrap piece from Carly Marley in there too. And we think it would be really fun if we did a live auction. We could donate all the proceeds towards Protect the Inlet, because then we'll have clean water to grow our weed with for years to come. And
That's one thing that frustrates me is when I go live and people are like, this has nothing to do with weed. It's like, well, if we don't have water, we can't grow weed. So,
and the most basics levels, we can't live.
water
No
is-
plants can live without water.
It's a little
So
fundamental for life.
that, of course, and hemp. Hemp is a perfectly viable solution to get rid of oil-based plastics, fuels, pipelines, all of it. It just doesn't make any sense. Hemp is a perfectly viable solution for everything that we use oil
but pipelines
for.
create jobs.
Exactly.
It's true.
And so, you know what they don't get though is
Everything-
hemp fields
anything
create
create
jobs.
jobs.
Well, no, I only
Hemp
say
fields
that. I
create
only
jobs.
say that because they say the construction of the pipeline will have anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 jobs. When construction is done, there's 90 permanent jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
I was being sarcastic about the jobs.
I know. It's a
People
total lie.
look at these mega
Total
projects
joke.
and they don't really see, at the end of most of these mega projects, there aren't long-term jobs. These
No.
jobs are fueling your economy for 3 to 10 years tops. It's not a lot of...
And who is it? It's a few contractors who happen to be buddies with the people who are making the job in the first place. So, it's a lot of this is just total garbage, and it's a propaganda. It's just so that the big companies that run our energy are allowed to suction more out of the earth and basically just
and more run around bullshit arguments from
take
Justin
from
Trudeau.
the land,
saying
Yeah.
things like, oh, well, we need to put the pipeline in to stimulate the economy so we can spearhead projects that make
Why
it so
don't
it's
you give
easier for the
clean water
environment.
to
Why don't you
native
just
people?
not spearhead projects that are bad for the environment and use all that money and effort that you're using on the pipeline towards spearheading a project that is good for the environment, instead of
Exactly.
saying you need the money from
Give
the
it to
pipeline.
Elon Musk.
What the fuck? How does that make any sense?
Or take that $780 billion not billion, I think it's million from TD.
Yes, exactly. No,
and
take
Scotiabank
a
and
trillion from them.
CIBC and BMO.
Yeah, those guys, these banks.
Never had
that
a bank
have
account in my
everything.
life.
Why do we even need money? I mean, I watch a lot of this documentary
Star
called
Trek?
Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And they've
thank
gone
you.
to this utopian society where all of your needs are
They have
covered.
replicators, though.
Right?
Once we have a
Once we have
solid replicator
replicators,
system,
we can all replicate our own weed.
yeah, weed replicators.
Weed replicators.
Yeah, what is it in the Orville?
Yes.
The replicators on the Orville
Yeah.
are cannabis friendly. You can get cannabis edibles on the Orville.
Yeah,
That does not surprise me.
That's true. Seth MacFarlane's show. All right.
Trekkie
Well,
is
we're gonna
like-
wrap this up. It's been a long show,
Wait.
but I wanted to have you guys on here.
Hot dog bong.
Oh, is that the?
We
Are you
haven't
doing it
done
now?
that. Are you gonna
No,
do
it's not
it?
actually
No.
water today. I was teasing
You're
her.
just teasing me.
She-
I was so
No, it's
excited.
regular water.
It's just regular bong
Okay.
Carly just sprung it on you. Yeah, you just got
No,
punked.
we had a user suggest it, and I was like, well, it's not going to be me who drinks
Fair
long
enough.
hot dog water. Not drink. That's not what I meant. That's even worse.
Oh yeah, I got a bong toast
Also, I'm
here
going
too.
to have a jalapeno, and you can smoke out of hot dog water.
I had to hit this bong.
We got to
though, 'cause
see
that's
that.
dirty.
I want to see the
This is,
jalapeno
you
show.
need to
You need to
clean
clean your
your
bong.
bong.
Could you smoke
No,
out
Or
never.
of
change your bong water at least.
Never.
That's pretty gross.
Yeah, never is a pretty accurate
So
representation
when
of
people
how
always
often
say,
Jared
how can
cleans
you
his
do
bong.
bong rips? Because bong rips are gross. Because I always
gross when you smoke
constantly
them out
change
of those.
the water.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty disgusting.
You get a nasty
Oh, it's
bong
not so
choke when
bad.
their water.
And
is
the thing
gross.
is, when you
Do a
haven't
close-up
changed
of that?
it, that's
It's not
stagnant
terrible.
water. That stagnant water has been sitting there for like 3 months.
Oh no, it hasn't.
Yes, it has. Yeah,
Just changed it the other day.
That's
The other day, like what, a couple months ago?
It's fine. No, it's good. It's good. Trust me, I just already took a bong toke out of it.
End of the month.
Tasted fine. It doesn't bother me none.
well, yeah, but
You
that's
guys
why.
don't have to smoke
Sorry,
out of
I'm
it.
picky.
We'll smoke
we
it
all
at the
brought our own
Klingon.
bongs.
Well, you can clean it out for him if you want to. If you don't like my,
I don't want to
this.
break the bong.
if you don't like my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze. See, I'm telling you, this is how I
So
become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I'm trying every way I can to become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle,
Interesting.
and maybe this will work.
Well, you definitely need to be smoking irradiated.
I feel like my
LP
arm isn't
weed
long
then,
enough.
because that seems like some way that would happen. That's
Yeah,
a
my arm's
definite
barely
must.
long enough too.
You know, it blows my mind when they say that when you put your arms out, that's how tall you are.
Yeah, it
I'm
doesn't
like,
make
how?
sense, but it's true. Also, from your
We're actually a
elbow to
square.
your wrist is the same size as your foot.
You know why we're so
And
prepared?
Yeah. From
This
here
from
to
here?
here. Yeah, that's
you-
the same size as your foot, and you're gonna be like, what? But it's
Step
true.
on it.
No, that's how big your foot is.
No.
It sure is. You
But
can.
I feel like my forearms look so long, and I
They
have like
do.
size 6 feet. I have like baby sized feet.
That's
I
not
can wear
true for
kids'
everybody.
shoes.
It absolutely is true.
No.
It sure is.
What about people who don't have feet?
Well, okay. You've outsmarted me.
Yep.
No, my wrist is longer. Look,
See, told ya.
I got an extra. Maybe I just have fucked up feet though, because I was a dancer. So I do have
See,
fucked up
okay,
shaped
that-
feet.
that might-
They're super
but-
wide, so I probably just like.
I think we need more data on this one.
But what does they say? Your fist is the size of your heart, then, or what is it?
I
Together?
think it's your fist is the size of your mouth. See if you can
I
compare.
heard that if guys, I heard to guys that if they do this, that's the size of their penis.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I heard that one.
And then they just
Guys
spend
do
the
that.
rest of the night.
It's like,
looking at
whoa,
each
my
other
penis
like
would be
this.
that big.
And then guys in response started saying, if you do this, that's the. I'm not going to actually like illustrate, but yeah.
If you put your elbows behind your back, it, yeah.
Shows
No.
really strange. I don't know if I approve this. Yeah.
You should see
All
what
right.
happens to ours when we start talking about dissecting fruit.
The fruit, because you always
juiciness,
gotta
and it's gonna
jab it
be
in
so-
and
The fruit is the ovary of the plant, so it is the plant's sexual organ. So
That's
it would
true.
explain why that would.
Strange.
It totally makes sense.
Strange. isn't
fruits
it?
are sexy.
They're shaped like
Yeah.
butts.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Some of them are shaped like other things.
That's well.
Bananas.
in pajamas.
All right. Well, on that note.
Carly's doing a bong.
Oh, I missed it.
you
there it
totally
is.
missed it.
Damn.
You were on it, and then you
I clicked it
switched
by
away.
I clicked it by accident.
You're just.
Do it again. Do it again. 2 more times this time. You got to do 2.
You know,
so
this
got-
would almost be. Oh no, I was gonna say this would almost be. Ew. Poppers are disgusting.
She likes poppers.
Don't. No, we have.
We're not. I was
a
gonna say we're not in
non-disclosure agreement.
Ontario.
You're not
Carly-
supposed to talk about that
Carly
on Pod TV.
We're not in Ontario today.
Carly
You can
smokes
take
cigarettes
the girl out
and
of
poppers.
Ontario, but you can't take the Ontario
No,
out of
I
the
always
girl.
tease Carly. I'm like, how can you be a animal activist and be a pot activist and fight all these things when you're just giving so much money to these tobacco corporations? How much
Because I
money?
was seduced by big tobacco and now I'm addicted.
I know. Gotta
Melissa's like, "Stop, you
oh
make me
yeah,
want a
somebody
cigarette."
else we know too. Yeah. These
Just
guys
leave us
sending. Well, you're sending a lot of executives of tobacco
you
companies'
making fun of
kids to
Miranda, too?
college.
She smokes
Oh,
cigarettes.
and Miranda.
I'm definitely
That's
the biggest
right.
smoker of you all.
Oh.
So probably been smoking
Yeah.
longer than Carly's been alive. So
No.
I had my first cigarette when I was 10 years old.
But you didn't
so-
start smoking. I don't remember.
No,
you
I didn't
smoking.
actually start smoking hardcore until like a decade ago.
Well, that's craziness.
It's disgusting. Never do it. Please don't smoke tobacco. It is disgusting.
Why don't you quit?
Because I have an addiction.
Oh.
Because she was
Missed
seduced
it
by big
again.
tobacco and now she
Because-
can't
Now you do
stop.
have to do another
Because
one.
Are you?
The camera wasn't on you.
Are you doing this on purpose?
Camera wasn't on you. Yep. She's got to do it
Sorry,
again.
I'm sorry.
Busted this nug open yet.
We have some stuff over here.
Yeah, we got weed here too. This is Congolese.
Yeah.
You got to do it again.
I didn't even let myself recover from the first one.
Perfect.
That's how Al gives me dabs.
Gauntlet. Gauntlet.
I gotta bust on more weed.
This.
Whatever.
Pass that over. I'll fill it up. Yeah.
I'm getting the cannabinoid
I got the
sweat.
hiccups now. Cannabinoid sweats.
I've been getting the dab sweats a lot, and I don't know if
There you
it's
go.
just
Now it's
because it's summertime and everything is warm now, but every time I'm just like disgustingly.
That means it's a good
muggy.
dab.
I think it's
Is it?
also.
I start sweating from behind around my eyes.
I think also it's when you have not smoked as much, like when your body's getting hit with a big load of cannabinoids and it hasn't had one in a while. It's always like when I take a big dab that I haven't taken. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Mine dabs, the first dab of whatever just kills me every time.
I want.
Doesn't matter.
I really want a
Ooh,
fan.
way more flour.
A fan for a desk that says something about dabbing. So when they get the dab sweats, they can fan off with the dab fan.
We have a lot of dab fans in the lounge. Did
Yes.
you did you see all that?
Did you? Do you guys get dab fans?
Yeah, we got dab fans. We have
Hand
like
fans. Are you serious?
hand
Handy
fans.
fans.
That
yeah.
I came up with that idea.
Who,
I love
Well,
that.
Who did
has
you
been
tell about it?
implemented.
Pardon? A bunch
who
of
did you
people.
tell? Oh, they took your advice
Not from the
because
lounge,
totally
not from the
happening.
lounge, but for the show. But I mean, like, it's funny that I came up with that idea and now they're using the lounge. Because it is a good idea. And sometimes we have guests on,
Good
and the
bong
guests
toke, by
will
the
give
way.
the guest, like, a really big dab, and they'll be like, oh, God, that's bigger than I'm used to. And then they're trying to talk, and they're, like, on the show,
Yeah.
and they're all hot. So I'm like, it might be nice for the guests to be like, okay, now I feel a little bit more normal.
I feel like
Yeah.
if we ever hit a, like, I don't know, we'll think of a number, but if we hit a certain amount of live views at some point, I'll drop like 2 grams.
Okay.
But that has to be.
That sounds
We'll
exciting.
think
cool.
of a number.
We should do a gram dab each soon. We should ask.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to sponsor some
Simultaneous.
gram dabs on this show,
You're gonna have
please
to
get
start
a
hitting the
hold.
bong harder than that. Then if you want to prepare.
Bong is totally
Yo,
different.
I did a crew too. Wow.
You did a crew, eh?
You can say that
You did
again.
a crew? That sounds like a challenge.
No, I did a 2-gram dab on 420, and then I did a gram dab on the show with Miles a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Now it's
Nice.
your turn.
Bamdi.
I think the biggest I've done is like 3/4 grams. I don't know if I've done a full gram. I think maybe. I don't know. I don't think so though.
It's not.
It's never
Well,
been
then.
like take it
It's
out
not
of the
quantity,
package
it's
and
quality.
Like a,
That's
well,
not what they
okay,
tell
you
you.
know what? Everybody says that, and everybody always goes on about how it's like a waste of dab to do big dabs. But unless you've done one of those ridiculously huge dabs, like it's a different kind of high. Like you feel like you're high school stoned again. You feel giggly. You feel spacey. You feel like warpy. Like you know when you like first start smoking weed, you feel like all weird dimensions and things feel like they have different depths and it feels really trippy. When you get used to smoking weed, it doesn't really have that as much. You take a big ass dab, you're actually tripping, you know? You actually get stoned as fuck.
And don't do mushrooms
it's not
at
a
the same
waste.
time.
It's a different high.
It's true. Yeah, there's definitely been a few times I've had to go outside after having a really huge dab, and I haven't felt that way off of anything except like psychedelics. I'm like, no, I need to go sit down and like drink some water and
Edibles.
Yeah.
I always know I'm gonna have like a really great couple hours after I do a dab, and then I like can't hear anything for you know when you're like so stoned. Have you ever had that happen? You take dabs, your ears kind of like everything's just like overwhelmed by how stoned you just got, and you're just like.
Yeah, your vision goes white, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, you see people do it all the time in the lounge. They'll take a dab and then they'll just kind of like space out for a few seconds. They'll be like, "Wow, that was good. That was fun."
It's definitely incapacitating briefly. You're like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
all right, well, let's. It's almost 7:00 here in beautiful Vancouver. Ah, yeah,
We got the bong.
Yeah, we're gone now. Yeah. See you guys later. Bam. She did one.
There are times a charm.
There you go. Now you must be high. And now, just to catch up, BC Budget's got to do 2 more.
What do you mean? I did the first one.
Oh,
So now
yeah.
you have to do 2 more. And then that's 3.
I thought I what?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
you're wearing it. Oh, yay, that's fun.
I wore it yesterday too.
Oh.
Very nice.
I'm wearing the wire wrap she gave me.
Oh, that's cute. Very nice.
That's flattering. I haven't seen somebody wear my work yet.
Very cool.
Okay, sorry.
Aw.
Thought I got distracted.
Well, watch your guys' show every Monday, 4 o'clock.
We're gonna eventually eat mushrooms on the show.
Oh!
Oh yeah, we talked about
No, I'm really stuck on this. I want to eat a bit, not enough to be like, whoa, I'm tripping, but enough to eat just so we're like giggly, and then you can just see how we go. But maybe we'll film like an actual video and get like a group of people together that everybody knows and just eat a bunch of mushrooms.
The mushroom episode.
Yeah.
Didn't we
When
do
talk
one?
about
We did a mushroom episode. Oh, Dana did one. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Mushrooms
there's
are
been
awesome.
times when I've said hello to Pot TV before when I've enjoyed
I've been
the
on Craig's show
fruit
3
of it.
times on mushrooms. Now.
You should do an acid show.
Yo, I haven't done acid
Me
yet.
neither.
Neither of you have done acid, so that's why you should do an
No,
acid
no,
show.
no. I have to do it in a spiritual way. I've had
Me
to
too.
do
That's
everything
exactly
doing
it.
it into
That's why I
Fino.
haven't
Yeah,
done
no,
it.
the first
Yeah,
time to
that's
do
why I haven't
acid
done it
is
either.
Oh, it should
on
totally
Pot
be
TV.
live. Yeah, it
Shut
should.
no, that would be the worst acid trip in.
It might. That might be weird. That may be strange. But you might like it. You two are, you know. Depends how much you love your audience.
Got an acid.
It's not the first time. It's not the place for a first time. Now
No.
I'll do that because I've done it like
Doing it on the beach in Tofino.
See, that's
I've had
perfect.
dreams of it.
Perfect.
See, that's why I've waited too. I'm like super into it. I love acid culture. I'm not afraid of it or intimidated, but I'm like, I really have a lot of respect for it. I've done a lot of reading of Timothy Leary, and I see it as like a really cool spiritual tool. So I don't want to just be like, hey friends, let's get fucked up this weekend. I want to be like, okay, let's
Right.
see what I can learn from this amazing tool that's been presented.
Acid
And
is
then after I
amazing.
do that a handful of times, I'll be like, yeah, I'm on acid.
I used
Acid-
to just
Oh my God,
drop it and go to college.
I hope you're not
parties,
watching, Grandma. I
so-
love you.
Acid makes everything beautiful.
My dad would
That's
be
true.
so
That's very
proud.
true. Yep. Everything
right.
gets kind of
Well, looking forward to those episodes. All right. Well, you can watch both Carly Marley and BC Budgal every Monday. Tune
And you
in.
can also
on Pod
follow
TV.
us, too.
Oh yeah, follow. Drop your Instagrams and all that other goodies.
Yo, Seth Rogen followed me on Instagram.
Oh,
If Seth Rogen follows me, you better follow me.
Damn. Damn.
Obviously, she's a
Seth
cool,
Rogen's
weedy
stamp.
person to follow because, like,
and I protest pipelines.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding.
He does.
He does love Vancouver. And
So, yeah.
he loves one of our favorite parts of Vancouver too.
And so, what's the @ on all your stuff?
Mine's just BC Budgal. My Instagram has an underscore at the end because I was deleted before. So.
And I'm Carly Marley 420 on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook at Carly Marley.
There you go.
make
Find
sure
them
you follow
all
Cannabis
over
Culture.
the internet.
And our show
also
Instagram.
Oh, and our show Instagram, yeah.
The 420 Lifestyle underscore.
There you go. Well, lots of content from these guys always. You guys are doing a great job. I love your show. It's awesome. Everybody loves your show.
They do.
So great job, guys. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Woo woo. And that's basically it. We're gonna wrap it up. So, and thanks to Miranda for coming on. Mr. Cookie, who never came actually back to sit down.
Actually, magically transformed into Cookie.
Into Mr.
And then
Cookie.
I fought him for his seat.
Yeah.
And he lost.
And
so.
he looks like he. Look at him
He looks
over
pretty
here.
relaxed over there. I don't know.
Yeah, he's relaxing. Yeah.
I like
Leaning
that
back.
abstract bong shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're very artful here.
Very. All right. Well, thanks to everybody for coming on, and thanks to Mr. Kirk Tousaw, who just double whammy on the show today.
Tousaw.
That was good, and great in front of the Senate. That was really awesome. I'm glad he was there to point out the Senate stuff from 2002 and just everything. These guys back here looking.
I don't know what they're doing.
They're
back
wrestling.
there.
Yeah.
They're having a good time.
Just flirting, whatever.
Yeah, they're flirting. Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks to Neil Magnuson.
Yeah, Neil and
Neil and
Neil
a
and
Neil.
Neil and a Neil.
A Neil and
You guys
a Neil.
should go.
Yes, it was a Neil and a Neil today.
You guys could go on tour together
Yeah.
like that.
You should start a
Neil and
folk
Evening
band.
with
Yeah, or a folk band, yeah.
Can I play? What is it called? The
tambourine.
Tambourine.
The
Yes.
tambourine.
Yes, you can play the tambourine. Yeah, Neil will play the guitar, and Neil Magnuson can just like rant
Sing.
about, can just like talk about
Yeah.
prohibition over the mic.
One of you
Yeah.
needs to play the banjo though, because that's really the touring instrument of choice.
well, if Celeste is trying to pick an instrument,
Banjo.
I nominate the banjo then.
Can you play the tambourine and the banjo at the same time though?
Yeah.
She can make a foot pedal for her tambourine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
would be
me
really easy. Actually.
impersonating
That would work.
Celeste.
Yeah.
Playing the banjo.
Mr. Cookie's gonna play the
You
jug.
never know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll do the spoons.
What's the washboard? Is that a washboard?
Yeah.
Washboard, yeah.
Quickly went from being a a folk band to like a bluegrass.
Yeah, I know.
So we're gonna start the Cannabis Culture Jug Band, and we'll be performing in the lounge this Tuesday.
We should do those like you know when people do
green
those
grass,
performances like
not
bottles,
bluegrass,
like that, but it's all like bongs and like bubblers, like.
Yeah,
That's
blowing a
pretty
bong.
cool.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, doing
There
a little
must be some composer that's already put together some sort of bong
Musical
symphony.
bong music.
Musical
Yeah.
bongs. If not, you're welcome to whoever we just gave that brilliant idea to.
Oh, actually.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Somehow you signed in. Oh, because you're probably okayed on
I'll show you how
our
to switch it after, Miles.
It's all good. I don't know. I don't even know how to do that.
That's
I
funny.
figured it out the other day.
You can choose who you're logged in as.
You can choose.
I like that.
Yes, I do like that.
Yeah, you can choose.
All right.
We'll show you.
Alyssa's.
Just
Miles
a little
is here
giggle
now.
from the back room.
There's Miles. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yeah, you were. They saw you lots out there. All right. Okay. It's 7 o'clock. It's been 3 hours
Lord,
of show.
sorry, guys. 10
We
minutes
love
and
ya.
it'll be 7:10.
That's true.
It's true.
That's true. We don't go that long though. So in 10 minutes, don't forget to go dab up, get
Or
it done.
just do it now and also
You can do it
then
now.
and whenever.
And watch all the other fun shows on Pod TV all week long. Pot.tv, endless weed content, and cannabisculture.com.
Yes.
See you next Friday, guys. Drug peace. Bye, guys.